Right, guys, let's try this again. Third time lucky. This is SpaceX Starship Flight 10. I don't know how long I can keep talking about Flight 10, but we're going to attempt the third time here. Right, my name's Ian. I am one of the Hustle Brothers here. I'm here on my own today. I should have Chris with me in the next 35 minutes or so. So you're stuck with me for a while, rambling on as I always do. Guys, do help me out in the chat today. It's one of those days where it's when you're talking about the same thing for 2 days in a row, it gets quite hard to find new content around it. But I'm gonna jump straight into the chats. We have Diet third time's a charm. I really hope so. I've been looking. Launch window's about 60 minutes long, and the weather is looking about 45% favorable. So it's about 10% less favorable than we were last night. Now, we are under the understanding it is rain. That is the problem. So Bagger Holden might have been right about the rain. They don't want the ship to get wet. But jump into the comments and do let me know. Stepchild, big shout out, my guy. You seem to be here every single day. You love the space content. Big shout out to you, my guy. I want to thank everyone, we dropped our interview with the CEO of Horizon Aircraft yesterday. I know it was this morning, so we done the interview yesterday. We dropped it this morning. We got really nice feedback from that. Everyone seems to have loved it. We will be bringing Brandon back on again, and we are doing a giveaway. So if you want some Hover merch, just make sure to jump into the comments of any of our videos. Ask Brandon a question about Horizon Aircraft. Whether you're invested in Horizon or you're just interested in the project, do jump in. Fire a comment in for him, and then like and subscribe. Diet, a good interview. Thank you so much, my guy. It's one of those, it's a very strange feeling being a full-time farmer in the Republic of Ireland and interviewing a CEO from the NASDAQ. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. I did bring my whole crew with me. There was all four of us on the stream. Yeah, I think there was some very exciting questions. Got some nice information. Have built a position in Harvard today. We did get a nice 14% rally. That is nothing to do with us. I wish it was, but it's not. I couldn't really see much news going around, but the whole market seems to be flying up. Stepchild says, if Starship don't splash down soon, Neutron might do it first. Do you know what? I got a bit of hate there about a month ago. I put up a poll on X and said, who will be first to orbit the Earth again? Will it be Neutron's first orbit, or will it be New Glenn after the recent upgrades? The New Glenn crowd, the Blue Origin crowd did jump in on me and try to say that I'm trying to push Rocket Lab. I had all these memes created about me, but do you know what? It's all in good spirit. But guys, do let me know what you want to happen today. I know we will have a few new viewers in. Do you want me to go back over the whole mission profile? Do you want me to go back through all the facts about Starship, or do you just want a little chat until we get the live stream come up on SpaceX? Do let me know. I'm happy enough to go through the mission profile again, but I know I have done it 2 days in a row. Diet says, can't wait until Wallops trip. So stoked. Are you going across to Wallops? My guy. I know Chris lives very close to Wallops, so Chris will be going back and forth to Wallops, doing a few live streams from Wallops. We're trying to be the first channel to stream a haste launch. We know with the likes of the Dart mission has been pushed back to Q4. It was meant to be the start of the year. I always put this question out to guys, and I know everyone jumps on top of me. Look, I am so bullish about Rocket Lab, here every day talking about them. I'm so bullish about the whole defensive side of Rocket Lab. But I always say we hear about the demand for haste. We've heard about in the last 2-3 earnings calls. But if there is such a demand for haste, I need to see more rockets going up. I know they have secured a lot of cash for the launches, but sometimes it's just keep proving the concept, you'll get more and more clients. But look, that's just an opinion of mine. Dieta says, cool, great program, Haste. It really is. I just want to see it upscaling now. I think the likes of Kratos are doing great stuff with the sounding rockets, and I just think Haste is such a dynamic platform. I think Rocket Lab really need to tap even more into it, but I'm not CEO. Now, guys, I haven't seen any objections to reading out the mission profile, so I think I'll go through and do that again for any of the new guys here. So it's pretty similar to yesterday. We're going back through what we expect to be a successful launch for Flight 10. We did have the anomaly of Ship 36 on the static fire. They believe it was a leak that they couldn't see visually. Vast CNC says, did you see that hover stock price after Hustle Brother bump? Do you know what? Me and Mark have been texting each other all day with like the Hustle Brother effect. We did have a joke going on during that whole bull run with Archer and Joby that every time we spoke every week, the stock seemed to have rallied. But nah, it was funny to see. It did happen. Our last interview with Brandon, the stock was sitting around 60 cents. It did go up to around 250. So no, it was really nice to see a 14%, 1460, I can't even remember, 14, 16% push. I'm going to let you in on a Hustle Brother secret. So we're there prior to the stream, and I'm all about building that adrenaline. Look, some people are against having adrenaline going into things like that. I think it makes you a lot more sharper, makes you more aware of what you're doing. So I said, guys, who's going to object to we all four of us buy into Hover prior to the stream? Something makes us have skin in the game, makes us make sure we deliver, because if we don't deliver and it comes across bad, that's your own fault. So we did get a bit of skin in the game for it, and we made a pact after the stream. If we felt very confident in what Brandon says, we were going to open, I'm not going to say the amount, but we did say between the four of us, we will open quite a sizable position in Hover each. And look, you're going to have to watch the interview to know. I think we said it in the interview, or did we say it after the interview? Guys, do let me know. Did you hear us talking about buying into Hover towards the end of the interview? Or was that after the stream? Do you know what? It all goes as a blur because we have a pre-stream with Brandon. We have the interview with Brandon. We have a post-stream with Brandon. So it all goes into a blur when it was. It's one of those today, do you know when you're going doing a stream on something that was meant to have happened 2 days ago, and then we done a repeat of the stream yesterday, and then doing a third stream of it today of the Starship's launch? It's hard to motivate yourself. I say it all the time. It does get quite strange when you're streaming every single day. You can sort of get into the flow and you get excited about it, but I know today I was kind of like, oh, do you know what? Why do I put myself through this? You do know I'm a full-time farmer, so I do be up around 6:30 in the morning. Look, already we're looking at 11:10. By the time this launches, it'll be about 12:30. By the time the stream ends every night, it's about 2:00. So sometimes it does become a killer. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not an absolute machine. I don't only run a 4 hours sleep. I do normally come back in from the farm around 7:00, and I normally sleep 7 till 9, like a sado, like a weirdo. But it is what it is. The only way I can actually communicate with some of you American guys, some of you New Zealand guys in your time zone. So yeah, just feeling a little bit weird today about doing the same stream again. Motivation probably not where it should be. That is my fault, not yours. But no, look, I'm an honest believer in you push through these things. VCNC says 500,000 shares. Each or between the four of us. That was a good interview. Love the questions all around. Mark and Dylan had some good ones. They really did. I honestly believe Mark and Dylan are massive, massive assets to our team. But it's not only that. I put it in a post earlier when Dylan shared. Same with Chris. Look, they're great assets to the Hustle Brother team, but all of them are lifelong friends. And it's one of those that even if this channel goes nowhere, I've made 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lifelong friends. And that's all that matters. Like, this is my journey through investing. When you see the other boys, it's their journey through investing. And yeah, just meeting all these different folks, different financial backgrounds, different foresights when it comes to the market. It's really nice to learn. Oh, we got the man himself, Francisco, my guy. How are we getting on today, my guy?
Just getting up here. I was walking my dog, giving him his walk. See? All right, that's better. That's here setting up. Got a fresh, trying to be like you. Just got my fresh haircut,
Oh, looking fresh, my guy.
Do
you know what? I love this haircut I have now. Yeah, I literally get out of the shower and it's just and it's dry. When I had that big long blue hair, it did not work. But yeah, what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna jump straight into the mission profile while Francisco is getting ready there. So we're going back through
Chris today.
So Chris should be on within the next 15, 20 minutes or so.
All right, cool. He's working, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So guys, after completing the investigations into the loss of Starship on its 9th test flight and the Ship 36 static fire anomaly, hardware and operational changes have been made to increase reliability. So you can read that technical summary. I'm not going to bore you to death reading out there. The upcoming flight will continue to expand on the operating envelope of the Super Heavy boosters. Now, guys, we do know this is not going back to launch site. We're not going to get that beautiful catch that we're used to. This is going out into the Gulf of America. It's going to turn off one of the engines, and we're going to see, can we get a relight? And it's going to try and hover with 2 of the center engines and then drop into the sea. Now, look, they're going to put the booster through extreme aerodynamic stress coming down. It's such a sharp descent. They're doing all different tests to do with the tires. We will get through it. So, it will also target similar objectives as the previous mission, including Starship's first payload deployment and multiple re-entry experiments geared towards returning the upper stage to the launch site for catch. The booster on this flight is attempting several flight experiments to gather real-world performance data on future flight profiles and off-nominal scenarios. So if you do see a failure, if you do see a rapid unscheduled disassembly, look, it's being pushed to the extreme. It's not that they can't fly this booster. They have purposely put it into a off-nominal trajectory. You need to think of it as, say something went wrong when there's humans on board. This vehicle is rapidly reusable. But if it took damage, say to the tiles or to one of the engines, they need to ensure that this vehicle can come down in one piece, even if it's not going to be rapidly reusable on that attempt. they need to be able to come down with the humans still alive. If not, there's no point making this rocket. The Super Heavy booster will attempt these experiments while on the trajectory to an offshore landing point in the Gulf of America and not return to the launch site for catch. Now, I was a little bit disappointed when I seen that because I just love seeing the catch, but it is what it is. Following stage separation, the booster will flip into a controlled direction before initiating its boost back burn. The maneuver was demonstrated for the first time on Flight 9, requires less propellant to be held in reserve, enabling the use of more propellant during the ascent to enable additional payload mass to orbit. Now, I'm getting a notification here that we could have another delay. So I'm going to jump back into it straight away. It was looking at 45% weather. Yeah, I think. Oh no! I actually think they've pushed the window closer, have they? Let me double check, guys. No, we're still T-minus hour 10 minutes, so they've pushed the launch closer. So we will be expecting the flight director to have said go for propellant load very, very soon. So the primary test objectives for the booster will focus on its landing burn and will use unique engine configurations. One of the 3 center engines used for the final phase of landing will be intentionally disabled to gather data on the ability for the backup engine from the middle ring to complete the landing burn. The booster will then transition to only 2 center engines for the end of the landing burn, entering a full hover while still above the ocean surface, followed by a shutdown into the Gulf of America. So we're not expecting a complete drop. We need to see that hover. We will call it out on the stream, and then we'll see it drop into the water. The Starship upper stage will again target multiple in-space objectives, including the deployment of 8 Starlink simulators similar in size to the next generation Starlink satellites. Now, we did get a question there about 4 days ago about hypofairing on Neutron and why Starship don't use this. I believe it's to do with this vehicle primarily being designed for the release of these Starlink satellites, and then you're going to get a whole different configuration when it comes to the actual Mars rockets. So, look, there's no actual benefit. This is more or less going to be designed with a capsule on top 50-55% of the time. So, I believe that's why you don't have the likes of hypofairing. Doesn't mean the hypofairing there's anything wrong with. It's just a complete different design. It's like if you look at, I don't know, some cars have heated seats, some cars don't have heated seats. Doesn't really affect the actual car. So the flight test includes several experiments focusing on enabling Starship's upper stage to return to the launch site. Now, I need to ask you, Francisco, with that. Does that mean we're going to attempt a catch of the second stage, or is it just seeing would it be able to get back to the launch site?
I don't think they're gonna go for that. Don't you think that'd be too risky? Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're just gonna test it. But I mean, who knows? Elon Musk is a little bit crazy sometimes. He might go for it, but I don't think so. I don't see how they can go for that.
We're gonna see at some stage that fucking landing pad blow up, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hit the tower.
Probably. Well, I hope that I'm pretty sure they will probably gonna try to like go and land it in the ocean somewhere and see.
So, with this, a significant number of tiles have been removed from Starship to stress vulnerable areas across the vehicle during re-entry. Multiple metallic tile options, including one with active cooling, will test alternative materials to protect Starship during re-entry. On the sides of the vehicle, functional catch fittings are installed and will test fittings' thermal and structural performance, along with a section of the tile line receiving a smooth and tapered edge to address hotspots observed during Starship's 6th test flight. Starship's re-entry profile is designed to intentionally stress the structural limits of the upper stage rear flaps while at the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. So we could see increased pressure on the rear flaps. Would it surprise you if the rear flaps blow off? Probably not.
Nah, nothing so
Excitement is
cool.
guaranteed, my guy.
That is definitely guaranteed. We're gonna get some fireworks.
Then
Yeah.
VCNC has come in saying, thinking of Rocket Lab Neutron, they will have reuse and expendable missions. Think they could retain enough fuel to do tests like this on an expendable mission, or does that negate the payload gain? Enough fuel to do tests like this. Can you rephrase that, Vast? I believe if they're going for a
I know that they're gonna be
test
testing
flight.
for sure. Yeah, because the Space Force already gave them a deal for that. They already signed a contract, so they're definitely gonna test the cargo. The cargo is something that's gonna be pushed, and I know they're like obviously Starship Neutron and I think even Electron, believe it or not, was like the part of the deal. Electron, Neutron, and I think Blue Origin. All three companies got deals to demonstrate like cargo deployment. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean,
Francisco, it wouldn't be right having you on without actually mentioning this. We broke $50 early on into today. How did you feel, my guy?
Yeah, $50 again, man. That's like 3 times already they have touched 50, huh? Since I mean, it hit 53, came down all the way to 38. Freaking, we missed the freaking deal. With like, could you imagine if I Redwire, if the CEO would have freaking delivered instead of saying and we would have able to swing trade that and put it into Rocket Lab? I would have been laughing my ass because that would have put me on some more shares at Rocket Lab at 38. Even though, like, I mean, I added 1,500 shares. That's the honest truth. I don't tell people my total because I don't want people doing math there figuring out my finances. But like, yeah, like I bought at 38, 40 or 50. I bought at 40, 41, and 42, I think, and I added 1,500 shares altogether. But I mean, at 38, I should have added more. I mean, but I was waiting. That red wire really screwed me over. And I'm deep in red wire. Like, when I tell you deep, it's a lot of shares in the thousands.
Oh, like I've told you how deep I am, but I'm on the understanding that you're like triple that. Like, my God.
But if that would have played it out, even a dollar or two up, it would have been like an easy trade for me. Like, sell red wire and move it to Rocket Lab. That would have made me very, very happy because it would have been a crazy amount of shares.
I'm just waiting for the day
that was a gamble.
We can get back out of that. Look, I still have a long-term position in Redwire. I'm going to keep a long-term position in Redwire.
I mean, they have some news, no? They have some news about some AI technology for their satellites. But there was some below, you know what below is, right? The very low orbits. They announced a deal yesterday, I think, right?
You what?
There was some news about this company that they're working with. They got a contract for a very low orbit. Was it yesterday? And then they had like last week, they announced that the Acorn 2.0 software, which is like the AI, and they also had an announcement about pharmaceuticals, like they're doing something with some lungs tissue. So they are doing some stuff. I just think that the CEOs, like, he was kind of lost out there. I mean, I didn't get anything from that call. He should have said something. It was like crazy. It was just not enough for anybody. And the stock was doing good during the call. It's as soon as he started talking, that thing took a nosedive. Because he got all the way up to 11 something, I think.
Yeah, I was just going in to look at that. I'll actually look at it back here.
What's that deal that they got? Somebody announced a deal for a very low orbit, and I know they have a partnership with Redwire.
So Redwire today is up 3%, 3.91%. After hours, doesn't look like it's working right for me because it's saying 3.91%, but it doesn't look right. Um,
Oh yeah, it was this company. Look, DeepSat is the name of the company. So DeepSat got a
oh, okay.
contract by the Air Force Research Laboratory, and they says interested in getting a closer look at ships from satellites in very low Earth orbit, and has issued a contract to DeepSat. But DeepSat actually has a partnership with Redwire, so that's good news. I don't know if a lot of people cut that, but as soon as they get back, I'm selling, bro.
Sorry, I am not ignoring you here. I'm just trying to
Oh, no,
see
don't
if
worry.
there's any update on Chris.
How you guys been doing the past few days?
Do you know what? It's been really, really nice. Doing something a little bit different, my guy. Doing this for the guys.
I just sent you
Doing
the
something
article.
like covering space, but at the same time, not completely the financial side. Like we did have a few guys in yesterday. Like not that interested in the financial side, and it's really nice just getting that different sort of aspect of rocket launches other than like what is this going to do for the company, because I've said to the guys here, look, we're invested in space, but we are all space fans. Like
Yeah, for sure.
whether I was streaming or not, I'd be watching this.
Oh no, 100%. I'll do it too. Actually, like that's how I got into Rocket Lab, because I was looking for a space investment, and obviously, first thing that came to mind was SpaceX. I'm sure that's how everybody was thinking about it. I'm like, oh man, but it's impossible for me to invest. You gotta. I mean, it's a private company, you know. Like, and I started looking around, and I found out that Rocket Lab was coming out with a spec before they actually came out with it. And I bought on the day of the spec. And I started looking at them. Oh, they look interesting. They already have a rocket and did some background checks on them. I'm like, oh, it looks interesting. Out of Virgin Galactic, the orbit, all this other stuff. I'm like, I thought the rocket lab was the best. And I'm like, all right. And I guess I got lucky with that.
Let me get back to the comments here. So Bagger Holden says they should prove they have successful flight at least once before they intentionally sabotage it. They probably don't think it can, and all that is CYA. So they can say are meant to do that. No, I do think they are intentionally putting it through. Like, why would they say they're going to shut down one engine? Like, surely it's harder for them to shut down one engine than it is to let all three of them just fire nominally. Because they're going to have three, then they're going to turn one off, and then they're going to relight two. I don't think they're just trying to hide something. I do think they are putting the rocket through extreme stress. Vast CNC says stress testing like Starship is doing. Just wondering if there's a way Beck can monetize his testing. Oh, okay. Pinch pennies by adding testing to the end of paid missions. I don't know. Are they just going to test before the rocket goes up? I think towards the... I know what you're kind of saying there. Look, they're going for expendable missions first of all. Maybe. I could see that. Maybe at the end of an expendable mission, they do it. Now I can see what you're saying about the payload. So if it did affect the payload, would they have enough fuel to get them to a test? Now, the only thing about that, are they pushing themselves for potential setbacks with the FAA if there's a failure doing a test after a successful mission? Especially if they've contracts on the line, do they want to be doing that? Don't you think they'd want to do their test first before they start in a big way doing paid missions? I don't know. Varscian C says, my new position is light path LTPH optics for drones and aerospace, and are less dependent on Chinese critical minerals, uranium. Vast, email me that, because I'm doing a deep dive on that, because I made the mistake last time not opening a position in something you said to me, and it shot up. So I really need to research this. Please do let me know. Just Me says, any thoughts on Archer? Okay. I'll keep it quick because we do have an eVTOL weekly tomorrow. Archer, I think you're more or less thinking, am I buying, selling at the moment? I'm actually starting to add back into Archer. We seem to have more or less stabilized where we are under that $9. Look, there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go with absolutely all of them. I like the moves they're making. Am I worried? Like, we did go through that stage where we were worried about a lawsuit, Joby being firing ahead, but we always knew Joby was ahead in certification. So I don't think that should be a big shock to anyone that Joby's all of a sudden really accelerating. That will happen with Archer too. I hate that sort of thing where you're either a Joby bull or you're an Archer bull, and they seem to hate each other. And we seem to get caught in the middle in the crossfire. And the Joby bulls thinks we're Archer bulls, and the Archer bulls thinks we're Joby bulls. I've had back and forwards with a lot of people about the two companies. At the moment, I'm adding Archer. I've stopped with Joby. I'm expecting it to come down a little bit more. Look, I have. You what?
You expecting it to come down a little bit more? I was gonna ask you, isn't Joby like at a good price right now? I don't know, it was like 14.
It's $14. I'm expecting it to come down towards $10 range.
Really?
Again, yeah.
Okay.
100%. But look, that's not financial advice, guys. I am expecting it to come into the $10 range. I think Archer and Joby will meet each other there. Now, look, even if they do meet each other there, don't get fooled, guys. Joby is still a lot more valuable than Archer. The market cap is like more or less double them. So even though they're the same price, you need to look at market cap, guys. Now, this is not an eVTOL stream, so I could talk about this all day and I could dive into it, but I really don't want to right now. Bagger Holden says the tiles don't every flight show what happens when they fail, but they're testing new composites. They're testing new structures underneath the tiles. So even if the tiles fail, you need the structural limit of the rocket not to more or less break up. It's a bit like a Boeing 747 or an Airbus A380. If you come down, look, they're rapidly reusable, but if they come down, you need, if the landing gear fails, that the gear itself won't fail. If the gear fails, then the actual structure of the Airbus won't fail, while also protecting the spine of the person inside. So they have to test the structural limits of everything. Now, look, they're not saying it cannot be destroyed by the atmosphere coming down, but they're looking at the steepest possible angle, the most amount of pressure that they can put under the vehicle. Something simulators can't always do. They need real world data.
Well, I think NASA helped them out.
Francisco. Go on.
I didn't hear you. But I was gonna say, I wonder if NASA helped them, because NASA, like 2 weeks ago, they said that they figure out a way to make like metals like stronger to withstand like heat. And I mean, it sounded like it was like a big step, like into the metals and like being able to sustain like the structure, even putting to like a lot of heat. You know, as much as you want, Elon Musk does have some government friends still. I think. I don't think that Trump is like. I don't think that relationship is like over. You know,
completely sour. Yeah. That's what I feel. I don't. You can't have a world without. Yeah, some people are going to agree. Some people will disagree. It feels like you can't have a world without Elon at the moment. He just owns everything. So, like, I think you just have to sort of bite the bullet, cut the nose, bite the face. They're going to have to deal with each other. One's the president, and one's one of the most powerful men in the world without being president. So they're always going to meet each other in the middle. Look, they're very strong personalities between the two of them, and none of them want to be wrong because they sit on two different sides of the table on some arguments. I don't think it needs to be a complete breakdown. Like, we've seen even Trump with Zelensky. That looked like a completely sour relationship, and then within a few weeks they're best mates again. So, like, look, I don't think. Look, I think to get to billionaire status, you need to be able to be the biggest prick to someone, but at the same time be able to sort of draw the line there and then have the best relationship again with each other.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, we're trying to analyze them as everyday people, and we need to think they're not everyday people. Like, to get to that kind of level, you're not thinking like everyone else thinks. They both used to be in the alpha, and they've hit each other in the middle. And none of them are going to back down. So, like, it is what it is. Bagger Holden says the tiles, don't every flight shut? Oh yeah, so we read that. So Stepchild says no, they had issues early on, not getting engine to come on. Easier to file all than keep what you need to get one or two to fire off alone. Completely agree, Stepchild. And then just me, thank you. No problem, my guy. Do join us on eVTOL Weekly. I believe we're aiming for tomorrow because that's better on race. I'm gonna run it by the two other boys. If not, it'll be Thursday, but it'll be 5 p.m. Eastern time. Stepchild, you can pick tiles off the beach, collectible. Oh my god. The VIP has landed. Chris, how are we getting on, my guy?
Gentlemen. Hey, Francisco, my man, you're in. I was not expecting that. I love it. How you guys doing, man?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
I'm tired.
Hard, my guy.
I'm broke, dude. I'm broke. But man, I had a really cool invite today from Matt Farley. Yep. Big shout out, my guy. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna try my best to get out Thursday evening or Friday and meet up with our good buddy Matty for either a dinner or a lunch. No promises yet, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Matty, man. Thanks so much for the invite. I know you guys are gonna have a blast. Can't wait to see the photos and all the good stuff after that. But welcome to Virginia, my friend. Welcome to Virginia.
Matty hasn't tried to sneak you in as a +1, my guy. You could put on like long hair and high heels and.
You think,
bro? I'm really skinny. I can hide behind a tree or a pole and just walk right through. No, man. It's gonna be fun and exciting for those guys. I'm really happy for them. I know we're gonna get our chance. I live out here in Wallace, so I'm gonna get out for some Electron launches, some Haste launches. I'm glad these guys are getting the opportunity, and it's worth making a flight and a trip over. I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, it'd be great to get in and possibly meet Beck and all that kind of stuff. But hey, man, never know what's gonna happen in the future. But again, yeah, big shout out to Matty for the invite. I'm gonna do my best to make it out, and I'll catch up with you sometime tomorrow, buddy, and we'll make some plans.
Oh, yeah, cool. My guy Chris, you landed at the right time.
Yeah. So Chris is gonna be meeting up the weekly guys.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Yeah, I was not sure where you guys are at. Sorry to jump in so late, but hopefully we get a launch tonight, guys. Oh, here we go.
Oh, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm probably loud myself.
Well, I'm going to turn the sound off until the stream actually starts, my guys. Jumping back across to the comments, VasinC, what I would like to see is a crazy SpaceX move to share IP and telemetry data with Rocket Lab in the spirit of building the space industry. He did similar with Tesla patents. I often think that. Do they share IP across each other just to...
I don't think they could do that because, like, after with rockets, I think it'll be a little bit different because they're considered like
weapons.
Like what? Yeah, it'll be different. I don't know that he's gonna do that with SpaceX. Because like I don't know if the government will allow that either. Is this the same video that we're playing? Like, oh.
All right, all operators on contact 1. Flight directors go for that.
Yeah, I believe that is the same video they've been playing.
That looks quite similar. Right, 45% weather favorable for this flight. Are we gonna have a fourth attempt tomorrow, or are we gonna get it tonight, my guys?
I don't know. I showed up today. You better get it today.
Yeah, maybe you'll be the good luck charm, man. We need the good luck charm. The last 2 days, and I'll tell you, we've had a lot of fun. We did like 2 hours of streaming both days, which was unexpected. You know, delays and delays and delays. We stayed on, hoping they'd be able to launch. But yeah, maybe you're the good luck charm for today. Again, glad
I'm
to have you
Amanda
on, buddy.
Lee, a
Missed you.
reliability engineer at
Big
SpaceX.
shout out,
Bye.
please,
Hi,
mate.
Dan Hewitt with SpaceX Communications.
Daisy.
Everybody, welcome back to Starbase. If you've been following along, today is going to mark the 3rd attempt to get our 10th Starship flight test off the ground. First one was back on Sunday. We stood down then to troubleshoot an issue with some of our ground systems, had a leaky hose. We replaced that, got to our attempt yesterday, lost our battle with the weather gods and some anvil clouds in the area, but we're hoping the 3rd time is the charm.
Yeah, fingers crossed for sure.
Yeah, so at the moment, we are actively loading propellant onto the vehicles. Our engineers are on console, monitoring the vehicle, all of the systems as we count down to liftoff. Prop load is underway. We are looking better on the weather.
Lazy, yep. 3rd time's a charm, hopefully.
We are targeting the very beginning of our window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Our objectives for today, really with the ship, are going to look very similar to the last couple of launches, looking to deploy those Starlink simulator satellites, fly a whole bunch of experiments during Starship's reentry, testing the limits of its heat shield and its flaps. Ultimately, we want to see ship do controlled descent, soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean. That's really what we're looking for today. Regardless of the outcome, though, goal is always to collect as much data as possible. That gets us one step closer to a fully operational Starship.
That's right.
Smash
and
the like
either way,
button,
flight
guys.
tests
Please do
guarantee
it.
the maximum level of excitement. And Starship will allow us to fly the heaviest payloads ever flown and ultimately fly humans further into space than ever before, even all the way to Mars, as we always talk about.
Hey,
Our
Vast, I have the answer for that, buddy. We'll get into it later, but I do have the exact answer for that.
On Mars, and these are the flights that are forging that path.
That's right. Now, a whole bunch has happened to get us to this 10th flight test. We're not going to go all the way back to the beginning, but we're going to start with Starship's 9th flight test, which lifted off in May. That one did end with what we call a rapid unscheduled disassembly, or a RUD, on both the ship and booster. Let's take a quick trip back.
So Flight 9.
That's fun.
First reflight of a super heavy booster. We saw successful hot staging and the first ever deterministic flip, which gives us extra performance. The reused booster was flown at a much higher angle of attack to push the envelope on capabilities. This did end up causing some internal structural failure, eventually leading to a rapid unscheduled disassembly at landing burn.
Ship, though, continued its ascent. While it was going, though, we saw pressure dropping in the main fuel tank, rising in the nose cone. In this view, you can see pop, the fuel diffuser inside the pressurization system. We had a hole develop. The ship still managed to complete its ascent burn, got to its planned velocity, got to second stage engine cutoff. Really huge moment.
After that, though, we did run into some issues with attitude control, which eventually led us to skipping the payload deploy and Raptor relight demos. Starship eventually re-entered the atmosphere in an off-nominal attitude, and communication was unfortunately lost approximately 46 minutes into the flight test during entry, but not before we got one heck of a light show.
That's right. Looking forward to another one today. The booster RUD, we went back and looked at it. That was caused we had a much higher than predicted forces on the booster structure, really honing in on that internal fuel transfer tube inside. That was all due to that angle of attack experiment we were running for today's flight, and any of the remaining ones on this version of the booster. We're just lowering the angle of attack for the booster as it comes in, relaxes those forces, minimizes the likelihood that we see that kind of structural failure.
Yeah, and then over on the ship side, we redesigned the part of the fuel pressurization system that failed on Flight 9. We put it through a more rigorous test campaign and subjected it to flight-like stresses. And eventually we were able to actually run it for more than 10 times the expected service life with no damage, which was super exciting. Yeah. Our goal is always, of course, to make it through all of the objectives we set, But any result that teaches us more about Starship performing in the real world environment helps us to make those targeted iterations and improve
Yeah,
quickly.
that's kind of been the secret to our success. That's how we developed Falcon 1, our first rocket. That's how we developed Falcon 9, which we've already flown more than 100 times just this year. A little insane. And 500 flights overall.
Yeah, super exciting for Falcon 9. And again, we're trying to follow their lead and launch, learn, and repeat.
Yeah. So we finished Flight 9. We were getting ready for Flight 10. And if you followed along, we originally had a different ship number 36, that was slated to fly on Flight 10. But that experienced a pretty major anomaly during its static fire test out at our Massey's test site. We were actually in its second static fire, a 6 engine. We were loading cryogenic propellant on board. We saw a sudden energetic event, complete loss of Starship, damage to the stand, and some of the immediate area surrounding it.
The most likely root cause that we were able to identify was undetectable or underscreen damage to a composite overwrapped pressure vessel, or COPV, in Starship's payload base section. To address this probable cause, we are operating the COPVs on Starship at a lower pressure and also implemented additional proofs and inspection methods.
Meanwhile, though, got to maintain our launch schedule, got to keep testing. So we pivoted to actually using the launch pad, the same one we're stacked on right now, to do ship static fire tests, something we had never done before. A retrofit was the fastest path to get back to flying. The team was able to implement a solution. We used a ship transport ring, sawed some stuff off, welded some stuff on. We're able to mount the ship, load propellant using what we usually use for the booster, and then do 2 different static fires on that orbital launch mount, doing that in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, it was really an incredible turnaround to see. And the static fires did give us the data we needed to progress to launch and are a prime example of our engineer and technician teams working together to build creative solutions to keep us charging forward to bring Starship online.
Even while we did all of that, we're still in the process of rebuilding that Massey's test site. That's where we want to continue testing our ships in the future, and we're getting it ready for that next generation of Starship version 3.
Yeah, very excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the rocket on the pad currently. Starship is the first orbital launch vehicle engineered to be fully reusable. It's built for frequent flights and a significant amount of payload.
It is the largest rocket ever made, ever flown, largest flying object in human history. It's going to be the vehicle that enables our foundational mission to eventually bring humans to Mars. I recently, just yesterday, got a chance to do a deep dive into kind of everything big picture Starship. Had some special guests, Elon Musk and Bill Riley. Let's take a look back. We're about to launch the largest flying object ever made, but this isn't on the radar for everybody, and we know that. So we want to kind of take a beat, pull back, do a little bit of Starship 101. To do that, I've got some special guests crashing the webcast today. Joining me now in Star Factory, Elon Musk, Chief Engineer at SpaceX, Bill Riley, our VP of Starship Engineering. Thanks for being here, guys. I know we got a rocket about to get off the pad, but let's start people off like high level. Like, why are we here? What the hell are we doing here?
Well, I don't know about everybody, but I'm here to try to build into the future that I imagined and dreamed of as a child, where starships with people are out among the stars exploring the universe.
Yeah, so the why, it's always important to explain the why of things. And the why of Starship is that
we say that all the
be
time.
a multi-planet
That's why.
species to extend consciousness beyond Earth.
We say that all the
I think
time.
for 2 main reasons. One is to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life as we know it in consciousness, which if we are a multi-planet species and ultimately a multistellar species out there among the stars, the probability of survival is much, much longer. That's kind of the, defensive aspect or life insurance for life collectively. But then there also need to be things that are inspiring and exciting and that give you reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a spacefaring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
And we're doing it all pretty unique location. I mean, the pad's behind us. We got rocket on the tower. We got another tower with it. We're sitting inside Star Factory. And I mean, it wasn't like this for very long. This is all pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think we moved Starship here in about the early part of 2019. So we've been coming that entire time and seeing the site evolve from a double wide trailer and a tent where we built Starhopper to the first suborbital test flights. And now we have behind us 2 towers for the first time as we build towards the first operational flight from the second tower at the end of this year. And this beautiful building, 1 million square feet, where we're able to work towards a production line of Starships.
Yeah, the SpaceX team has done an incredible job of building out really the most advanced rocket manufacturing facility that has ever existed. This is far beyond any rocket fabrication facility that has ever been built. This is essentially alien level technology, and it was all built here, basically down by the Rio Grande River and close to the beach. It's an incredibly improbable location, and this used to be a sandbar. I think we're about 3 feet or about 1 meter above sea level. It really was nothing. If you see the time lapse from sandbar to two launch towers and a gigantic rocket factory with high bays, and we're going to be building something called the Gigabay, which is like one of the largest enclosed volumes on Earth. So it's sort of like a gigantic Borg cube that we're going to be building here for building and storing these gigantic rockets. It's really spectacular, and anyone can come and visit. So because we're on a public highway, and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone can do this from anywhere in the world. So you can come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that it's
Just not right now.
Just not right now.
Just not right now.
Obviously not when we're launching because there's some safety issues. But the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just come here and visit. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think it's a really special place. Yesterday, the ship went down the road behind us, and I saw families outside on Sunday going for their Sunday stroll, and they were greeted by Starship going down. And I think that from the very beginning, the thing about Starship, different than Falcon and other rockets that I'm aware of, is we designed it to be mass-produced at scale. And it's not about building one Starship and getting to orbit once. It's about doing it in a sustained and rapid way.
Yeah, we're aiming for ultimately thousands of ships to be built per year, which is what's needed in order to construct a city on Mars that is self-sustaining. And the major fork in the road of destiny will be when the Mars city is capable of surviving, even if the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason. And that reason could be something cataclysmic, or it could be that that civilization simply subsided. There's always this debate throughout history of will civilization end with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. I mean, my guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years but also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age of the universe, according to the standard model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past the decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence of writing, which is about 5,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/1,000,000th of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan so far.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some cool shots. Rocket out on the pad right now. We tell people, like, come down, see it. It's hard to get like a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is. And we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And like part of the reason you said we're sending millions of tons, that's kind of why this
Well,
thing
I
is
think
so
in this
massive as
image,
it
Dan, you
is.
can actually see the person working at the bottom of the ship. And as we zoom out, you see the full ship, that sort of two-tone silver and black, and then the booster below it, right? And it really sets the scale, which doesn't come across, I think, other than in person. And when I do tours, I like to say Starship is real, Starship is big, and Starship is really big.
Mhm.
And I think you can see there, and with the factory shots you saw earlier, again, we've got Flight 10 on the pad, but we got many more behind it.
Yeah, so I posted a video yesterday of just a brief scan of part of the Starship factory, and you can get a sense of the scale of the factory. Yeah, I guess we could talk a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like, for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored? And that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the reentry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that is going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we've talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move. And that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Giant
yes.
lightsaber.
No, that's a lightsaber and a half.
Cook your steak
You
and
would
that,
get
Chris.
vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of Raptor. So yeah, burnt to a crisp in less than a second. So in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure's got to be better than any structure ever. You've got to you've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and that no one has ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is to have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, would be caught by the tower arms, and the booster would be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You could also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships, so that you could be flying the booster in theory every hour. This is kind of a profoundly fast speed, obviously, for the largest flying object by far ever made. But it's the reason why we catch the booster with the tower arms, and the ship also will be caught with the tower arms, because that's the fastest way to get the booster and the ship back to flight. If we had instead put landing legs, which we have done before for the ship tests, we actually had landing legs that flip down and the ship we've successfully demonstrated landing with legs. But if you do that, if we were to do that with the booster and the ship here, we'd have to land somewhere else with the legs, then lift the rocket, stow the legs, transport the rocket back to the pad, with which is very unwieldy when you've got a gigantic thing. Then it would be picked up by these tower arms and placed in the launch mount. That would delay the reusability dramatically and would add a lot of mass with the landing legs. So that's why we catch the rocket with the tower arms, because it's the same tower arms that put the rocket in the launch mount are used to catch the rocket. And that means that we can put the booster back in the launch mount in less than an hour after liftoff. In fact, the booster is going to come back very fast. Like, 5 or 6 minutes later, this booster is coming back one way or another, or not coming back. So then you really have propellant full time, which can be brought down to about 30, 40 minutes. And that means it is theoretically possible to fly the booster again in less than an hour.
I think when I think about it, it's the jet drives up to the jetway, the people get off, new people get on, and it leaves. You don't want to land the jet on a different airfield and then tow it over to the jetway. So it's just operationally simpler and faster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the booster, 3 for 3 on the catch attempts. When we bring it back, we've reflown one, so awesome. And then again, Starship superpowers, the whole thing is reusable. So ship reusability is like what we're working on right now. We've been able to get some really spectacular reentries on a couple of flights, hoping to get this one for reentry on the V2 ship. But yeah, that fully reusable heat shield, that thing that has just never been done before, that's one of the things we're really looking for that data on.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of engineering challenges that remain for both the ship and the booster, but maybe the single biggest one is the reusable orbital heat shield. We are confident in making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, but it will require many flights, many iterations to figure out where the weak points are in the heat shield, where we need to change the design, either strengthening the tile or changing the how big the gap is between tiles, changing what's underneath the tile. There's 100 different variables that we could tweak with the ship tiles, the heat shield tiles. But the only way to know exactly what we should be adjusting is to fly repeatedly and be able to examine the ship upon landing. And we have successfully brought the ship back through the atmosphere and achieved a soft landing multiple times. So we know that this is possible, but we have in the process shed many heat shield tiles. So we need to be able to do this without shedding heat shield tiles and do so repeatedly.
And I think what you're seeing now is the Starship. This is CG of it coming in and landing on the tower, much like the booster, but there's some additional challenges there where we need to make sure we don't scrape the tiles off as we slide along the chopstick
we can't
arms.
shuck the heat shield.
Don't crush the ship.
Rapid reusability.
If we shuck the tiles, then that's obviously going to fail the reusability test.
So ships can use the tower to land and catch like the booster on Earth where towers are available. And for our initial landings on Mars and other planets, we'll need landing legs that deploy much like what you're seeing here with Ship 15 when we did our suborbital test to prove out the precision descent landing, which was a successful test. We actually landed to one was we were able to actually recover it, and you can see it here in the rocket garden if you visit Starbase.
So the rocket garden that Bill mentioned, we have actually a whole bunch of boosters and ships, and we'll be adding to them over time. So you can see an evolution of Starship just by driving down the highway.
Yeah. So reusability is key. There's some other technologies we're still looking to prove out. Really big one is going to be the on-orbit refilling. Looking to do that next year, and that's really what's going to kind of unlock, Starship going everywhere else, going everywhere beyond Earth. And that's something that's, again, never been done before, kind of like that reusable orbital heat shield, but it's going to be something that's kind of some of the other secret sauce to Starship, where we're going to be able to send hundreds of tons per ship to Mars.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if we get to orbit with a full cargo bay, but we're empty on fuel and oxygen. So basically, we're running on fumes. Then we send other ships to dock, transfer propellant. And now we made our two-stage rocket look like a many multi-stage rocket. And we get all of that performance. And we can take that full cargo bay now wherever we want to go.
Yeah, so a crucial technology that we hope to demonstrate next year is this orbital refilling. Much like aerial refueling, it's essential for being able to send significant payload to Mars. So you essentially send a ship to orbit with a few hundred tons of payload, sort of a filled payload bay. But once it gets to orbit, the tanks will be mostly empty, and then you send up additional tanker ships to refill the Mars ship's tanks, so that it can thrust from Earth orbit to Mars and have enough propellant left for landing. So this is orbital refilling is also not something that's ever been demonstrated before. So that would be a brand new technology. We obviously have at SpaceX figured out how to dock repeatedly with the space station. So in a lot of ways, this is like docking, and in some ways it's easier in that SpaceX is docking with its own craft, but no one has ever demonstrated propellant transfer in orbit, to the best of our knowledge, and so this would be propellant transfer at a very large scale, and but with full reusability and propellant transfer, those are the key technologies needed for building a city on Mars, and I'm confident that the SpaceX team, which is incredibly talented, will achieve these goals, and we will be landing ships on Mars in the future and building life on Mars, building greenhouses and life on Mars, and ensuring the long-term survival of life as we know it. And it's important to note here that obviously, we are effectively stewards of life here on Earth. That the other creatures cannot build spacecraft and get to other planets. So if there were to be a cataclysmic event, like a giant meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs, or ultimately the sun will expand to envelop Earth and destroy all life, we know this is an undisputed fact. Then if we don't take life to another planet, life will be destroyed. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we do bring life to other planets and ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it on planet Earth.
And I mean, aside from that, there's so much that Starship unlocks by being able to do these things. Like, we'll be able to go to Mars, but there are other just transformational things by being able to take that many people, that much stuff to space for that much less money.
Yeah, I mean, I think like understanding our planet better, being able to move people around the planet, make it feel smaller and more accessible. You could go anywhere on the Earth, in less than 40 minutes, basically, in terms of flight time. So I really do see Starship as being this thing that can connect us, just like Starlink connects our information. This can connect us more physically. Yeah.
So there's really nothing faster than a rocket. Really, an orbital rocket is the fastest thing that we know of, of the fastest means of transport. So, like, you could go from LA to Sydney in less than half an hour. You could go LA to Tokyo in less than half an hour. You could go from New York to Singapore in half an hour. Everything's probably half an hour, basically. But some things might be 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, sign me up for that, please. All right, cool.
Cross the Atlantic in 10 minutes, no problem.
Please. Yes, sign me up.
You're going 25 times the speed of sound, so that's 30 times faster than a commercial aircraft.
And it's a whole hell of a lot better view.
Yeah. I'm not doing that.
All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else?
Well, I mean, we could say a lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check in on the rocket and get on console.
We're going to go back on console to hopefully the weather supports a launch tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support.
Hey, real quick.
Hey, smash the like button.
All right. Obviously,
real
that
quick.
was really
Hey,
cool.
We need to take a road trip to Florida. We'll meet up with Francisco, Olga, Brett, Becca Holdings.
Point-to-point travel, too.
Road trip, buddy. Let's do it.
It's really hard to relay just how much power is being generated by these engines on this rocket. We try to compare it to something like a little bit closer to home for people. We've used an airplane a lot of times. That's just something a little more tangible to to folks.
Yeah, if you were to stack Starship up against one of the biggest airplanes out there today, the 747, just one Raptor engine is double the thrust of all 4 airplane engines. Super crazy to think about. And the Super Heavy on the pad right now, which has 33 Raptor engines, is putting out as much power as about 64 747s.
Yeah, it's, again, just a tremendous amount of power. World's largest flying object. It's crazy. And again, that was really cool to just go through that. I love to geek out as much as everybody else over all the nitty gritty, but always important to remember there's a lot of people that just don't know that all of this is happening. So it's cool to remind them, cool for everybody else out there to help us spread that word. All right. So right now we are 17 minutes, 12 seconds and counting until the 10th Starship flight test. While we do have a moment, though, let's check in over with Tyler Lionquist over in Hawthorne for the latest on Starlink. How's it going, Tyler?
Thanks, Dan and Amanda. I'm Tyler Lionquist, and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit, high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity both on Earth and in space. Now, for today's mission, Starship is outfitted with 4 Starlink terminals, allowing us to get live views of ship while in orbit and all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Our Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington, which is also where we monitor the health of the entire constellation. So let's take a quick look for more on Redmond.
What a lot of people might not realize when they think about the scale that we're operating is that actually 2/3 of the operational satellites in orbit are Starlink satellites. And then all of those Starlink satellites came from right here in Redmond. We've currently got a constellation of over 8,000 satellites that are flying around in orbit. So they're working together to fill out the whole surface of the Earth, make sure everywhere can have service. So we have these laser links that are connected between the satellites, so each satellite can pass data from one to the other. That is what allows us to have these hundreds of gigabit links between satellites, and that's what allows us to connect every corner of the Earth to high quality, high speed, low latency internet. When you think about that Starlink that you have at home, the technology that's in there and that's in your antenna is very similar to the antenna that's on the satellite. We use what are called phased array antennas, which is a fancy way of describing an antenna that's made up of many little antennas that work together in order to direct their energy to a specific spot on the ground without a motor.
Generally, satellite manufacturing is a very slow process. It takes people weeks or months to build a satellite. At SpaceX, we iterate very fast, and we have learned how to build satellites at the 70 sats a week rate. As we have focused a lot on production rate, we have not forgotten about our satellite reliability, which is critical to our mission.
If you look at the whole world and you ask, where is the satellite industry? It's right here in the USA, in Redmond, where the vast majority of satellites are being built right here. Starlink is a truly game-changing technology, and it's all supported by the global satellite constellation from this space here in Redmond. And we're really just getting started at the very beginning of what we want to do with Starlink.
Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, one of today's objectives is for SHIP to deploy Starlink simulator satellites that represent the advanced V3 satellites Starship will be launching in the future. And as you can see here, once Starship reaches a nominal orbit, the payload door will slowly begin to open to prepare for deployment. The Starlink satellites will be dispatched relatively quickly, one at a time, like a Pez dispenser, as you can see on your screen. They'll be situated in one long stack, taking up as little space as possible, allowing for an efficient deployment sequence. Once a set of Starlinks are deployed, the next set advances and deploys until they are all drifting away from Starship to prepare for their on-orbit life. Each Starlink V3 launch on Starship is planned to add 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on Falcon 9. So we're talking about a massive increase in performance all around, which will ultimately enable Starlink to serve as the communications backbone of the missions to the moon and to Mars. So for now, we're going to turn it back over to the team at Starbase.
Thank you so much, Tyler. Okay, let's turn our attention to today's flight profile, which will feel familiar because it is. We're looking to get our first re-entry with this iteration of ship, and we're again intentionally stressing Super Heavy during its return. The next generation booster is on the horizon, so the objective is to push and learn all we can from this current version.
All right, let's jump right in. As always, it's going to start with liftoff. Super Heavy ignites 33 engines lifting off from Starbase and ascending. It's going to power that ascent for about 2.5 minutes until we get to hot stage separation. Super Heavy shuts down all but 3 engines, deeply throttles the remaining ones. Stage 2 lights its and flies away. We have stage separation and directional flip. It's going to descend. We're going to do some landing burn experiments and then do a splashdown in the Gulf.
Meanwhile, ship continues on with its ascent burn, again reaching a planned suborbital trajectory. We'll attempt to deploy 8 Starlink simulator satellites and then head back for re-entry, where we'll be testing multiple experiments, including missing tiles, metallic tiles, and intentionally loading the vehicle's flaps. Ship will also attempt a flip maneuver, and if all goes as planned today, we'll conclude the test with a soft water splashdown in the Indian Ocean. So that's what we have on deck for Flight 10, which is just about 11 minutes, 40 seconds from launching.
That's right. And so just a quick status check-in. So as you said, we're about 11.5 minutes away. We have some good news. We got our latest range and weather status, and surprise, everything is looking green today.
Thank
So
goodness.
that's the biggest news that we were looking for. Again, weather is the main watch item for today, but we are green right now. We're not tracking any issues with the vehicle or ground systems, so we are looking pretty good for launch. We did all of our normal pre-flight checkouts with all the different vehicle and pad systems. At this very moment, we're almost done, or we're pretty far into our prop load on ship and a little bit more to go on the booster.
Yep, looking closely, it looks like we're nearly closed out on ship, like Dan said, about 70% of the way through on both methane and LOX on the booster side. We'll continue loading prop for a while. We'll close out at about T minus 30 minutes, 20 seconds on ship, and then 30 seconds later, we'll finish up loading prop on the booster.
Yeah, so bottom line, a little over 10 minutes to go. Range is green, weather is green, vehicles looking healthy. We're looking good to launch right at the top of our window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time.
Can't wait. All right, now let's quickly talk about Mars, since everything we do is part of our foundational mission to get to the Red Planet. Each Starship launch is to learn more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve ship to the point where it's taking millions of people to Mars.
Yeah, we've shared the plan previously in the last couple of months. We're looking to start sending the very first Starships to Mars next year. These missions, not with people. We're just looking minimally viable landers. So let's just prove that we can get there. And so we're just going to focus on learning as much as possible, but looking at all of those different phases, you know, prop load, prop transfer on orbit, sending stuff out to Mars, doing the transit, doing the entry, and just doing a landing.
And in our next window, around 2028 to 2029, we're going to attempt to land the initial infrastructure and start delivering more equipment as well, while evaluating available resources on the Red Planet. And we will also have Optimus on board for the ride, who is designed to do the initial heavy lifting.
Oh, looks like we're doing some flap checkouts real quick on the ship as we are coming up on 9 minutes. Back to Mars, though, as those wrap up by about 2030, 2031, we'll continue to increase the payload per ship, build out more infrastructure out there on Mars's surface, start to mine some of those resources, set up some propellant generation plants, build up some fuel and some oxidizer to send Starships back from Mars. By the time we get all the way to 2033, we're looking to double the amount of payload we're sending with each ship as we get closer and closer to building a self-sustaining presence on the Red Planet.
Yeah, definitely lots of exciting missions ahead of us, and these are going to be crucial to setting up what we'll need for humans to eventually inhabit the planet, and we won't be doing this alone. The Italian Space Agency and SpaceX recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the first Starship missions to deliver customer payloads to Mars. So these payloads will include a plant growth experiment, a weather monitoring station, and also a radiation sensor to gather scientific data during Starship's approximately 6-month interplanetary coast phase from Earth to Mars, and also on the Martian surface.
It's a really exciting mission. Make showing up for work really fun for us. we're going to need to launch a whole lot more, though. So while we're just under 8 minutes away from launch today, let's head back over to Tyler and Hawthorne, talk a little bit about how
Great
we're going to be
question.
increasing the number of Starship launches going forward. Tyler?
Thank you, Dan and Amanda. So to put it plainly, in order to launch more Starships, we need to build more launch pads. And that's exactly what we're doing at Space Launch Complex 37 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Now, Pad 37 has a storied history, most recently with the Delta IV rocket and for the missions for the US government. And prior to that, the pad supported critical development for the Apollo lunar program in the 1960s. And we are honored to have the opportunity to continue making spaceflight history at Pad 37 with Starship. But first, we need to optimize the pad. So earlier this year, we started dismantling some of the existing infrastructure to prep the site for Starship operations. This will include up to 76 launches a year, with up to 152 landings at that location for Super Heavy and for Starship. And to support this flight rate, we plan on building 2 launch pads. Each will have 1 tower that can support launch and landing, plus deflector systems, launch mounts, and water deluge systems. This will also include a propellant farm that will produce propellant on site and serve both launch pads. So there is a lot of work in progress, but Pad 37 is only one part of our plan for Starship operations in Florida. A few miles away from Pad 37 at Kennedy Space Center, our 380-foot-tall vertical integration facility called Giga Bay is under construction. Once complete next year, Giga Bay will be capable of housing multiple Starships simultaneously for rapid assembly and integration. And meanwhile, at Launch Complex 39A, we're building Starship's infrastructure to support up to 44 launches and up to 88 landings a year, independent of operations at Pad 37. So with 2 launch complexes in Florida, we'll have the ability to fly up to 120 Starships annually, not including our flights from Starbase. So action is well underway in Florida. How's it looking in Texas?
Thanks, Tyler. Things are continuing to look good for launch here in Texas, so getting pretty close here with just under 6 minutes left. You mentioned Giga Bay. We're currently laying the foundation for Giga Bay here at Starbase as well, and we expect it to be up and running sometime next year. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of Starships on the way, and we're going to need more hands on deck. So come help us build the gateway to Mars. Visit
Go on, Chris.
spacex.com/careers to see all of our openings.
Yeah, I've been here for a couple of years now. Nowhere more magical, more inspirational on the planet. If you're a space nerd, you can come be like Amanda and build these things for real. It's
I'm a space nerd.
insane. It's
I
super
wanna build
exciting.
stuff.
And yeah,
Do you know
come
what?
check
We
us
just
out.
leave the
All
channel
right.
and go and work for
Absolutely, it's
SpaceX.
surreal to be here for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are looking like we're about 5 minutes away from launch and heading into terminal count. Range and weather are continuing to look good, and prop load continues on both stages of Starship. We'll close out here in just a minute or so.
Yeah, we're just about done. It looks like, let me grab my numbers real quick. We're not tracking any issues. We are just creeping up to 90% full on the locks on the booster, a little over 93% on ship, or sorry, fuel on the booster. And then ship, we're just about to close out. So only a couple of minutes to go there. Once we're done, you've got just shy of 11 million pounds of liquid propellant on board those 2 different stages. We'll see a couple of final things happen. Well, you can't really see it. It's all going to be happening in our ground systems as we'll do pushbacks, clear all of the propellant out of those lines that are flowing up through the tower and into the vehicles, and get ready for launch. We just did our final guidance, navigation, and control system checkouts. Our flight safety system is being armed right now, and we're doing our final wiggle checks shortly with the engines on the thrust vector control. It's how we're steering the rocket. If we need to hold, which we are not currently tracking a reason to hold, that would come at T-minus 40 seconds. You saw us do that yesterday. We can hang out there for about 8 minutes or so right now. That's the point. It's built into the countdown. If we need to wait for clouds that just won't go the heck away or any other issues, we can hang out at T-minus 40 for a bit. But at the moment, we're not planning to do that.
Now, once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure. Ship will switch over to internal power. And after that, the QD arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which occurs shortly after T0. And once we pass that T minus 40 seconds, we do still have the ability to then recycle the count under certain conditions back to T minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened. And if we can proceed again back down to liftoff.
That's right. We do have at least one point of no return, though. If the water-cooled flame deflector underneath the launch mount fires off, that happens a little bit after T minus 10 seconds. That doesn't turn off once it starts going. So we would have to stand down for the day if we do hit a hold or an abort at that point, so we can refill water tanks. At this point, we're not sure if we'd be able to attempt tomorrow because we have fully loaded the vehicle. We have to do a lot of fancy scheduling to get propellant in here as fast as possible. But again, we've got a pretty heroic and amazing team that works all of those logistics, got us into our attempt today after we did a unplanned wet dress yesterday during our attempt. So really exciting to see. But we're coming up on 2 minutes. We've got a green range. We are green for weather. Green has always been my favorite color, only more so now. And we are not tracking any issues with the vehicle today. So we are looking good. 2 minutes to go.
Let's launch this thing, man. Let's do it.
I'm not planning on holding at T minus 40 seconds right now, but in case we do pass that and any issues come up, we can recycle the count. We're pretty lucky that we have this ability. Falcon doesn't have that built in, but being a developmental program, this affords us a lot more flexibility. So super useful to be able to have that. But again, not currently tracking any issues. So hopefully we'll be good to launch today.
All right, coming up on 90 seconds. We've got a pretty good crowd gathering with us right outside Star Factory here at Starbase. Looks like we're getting a quick TVC, that wiggle check.
It's my favorite view of the rocket.
Right under the launch mount.
Like a monkey. Like a monkey, bro.
All right, so we've got crowds gathered out at Hawthorne, crowds gathered here at Starbase.
Super fun to see people getting to watch out on the front lawn now.
1 minute to go to launch. All right, so again, our hold point comes up at T minus 40, not tracking
40, guys.
Any reason to stop there, so we should see us go right through that.
No, you want to see the water start spraying.
We're through T minus 40. We are counting down. We're going to let our flight director, Maciek Batura, take us the rest of the way. 30 seconds, the 10th lift off.
Wait for 10 seconds. You'll see the water spraying, and we'll go.
T minus 15. T minus 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5.
Let's go.
4. 3. 2. 1.
Oh!
Vehicle's pitching downrange.
That's an amazing job.
Booster chamber pressure nominal.
All wraps are lit.
Over 40 seconds into flight. 33 out of
Booster
33 rapid
avionics
engines.
power and telemetry nominal.
Getting good call outs, healthy systems on the booster as it starts to pitch over the Gulf.
No, we are not going back to launch site for a landing attempt, guys.
All right, we're a little over 1 minute into flight, about to pass through max Q.
Max Q.
All right, so we are through the period of maximum dynamic pressure, max stress on the vehicle as it continues to fly.
Our next major event is going to be hot staging, which is happening in just over 90 seconds from now. To get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of its Raptor engines. The clamps holding the 2 stages together will release, and the Starship second stage ignites its engines. The ship then separates from the Super Heavy booster and heads to space. At the same time, the 3 engines still firing on Super Heavy will flip the booster around. 10 more engines will ignite for the boost back burn, putting the first stage on the path for splashdown in the Gulf. As we mentioned earlier, the hot stage will be jettisoned for this flight, and that should occur just after the boost back burn. So we're about to shut down the first stage and perform hot staging.
It
So
has
let's
one
just
engine out.
watch and listen.
No, there'll be no chopstick catch, guys. No chopstick catch.
All right, seeing the engine start to throttle down.
Miko. Ship ignition.
Okay. Nice.
Boost
Very
back
nice.
first up. Stage separation.
Stage separation confirmed. We've got 6 engines running on ship. Booster is doing its boost back burn, continuing now towards its splashdown site in the Gulf. We have seen all 6 Raptors lit up on ship.
No, they still have one engine out. Is that the engine they're speaking about?
You heard them report ship chamber pressures nominal, so that chamber pressure, just that expected thrust level in those Raptor engines on the ship. 3 vacuum optimized, 3 sea level, all looking good.
No, on the left-hand side at landing, you'll see one of them engines cut out. That is purposeful.
There's a view into the business end from the ship.
Boost back burn shutdown.
They're going to come in at a steep angle as well.
All right, so at this point, we finished our boost back burn, so that was shut down. So that's the first of the 2 burns after a launch that the booster is going to do today. So now it's headed towards the Gulf. It's not going to be quite as an aggressive of a flight down. We relaxed that angle of attack a little bit, but we are then going to be looking for it to do its engine tests for the landing burn, and those are going to be a little unique this time.
Yeah, typically we start with all 13 inner engines lit for that landing burn and bring that down to just the center 3. But one of our test objectives for today is to simulate what an engine out situation would look like. So we're going to be intentionally turning off one of those center 3 and instead lighting one of the engines from the middle 10 ring.
Yeah, we did see one of those engines in the middle ring shut down during the initial ascent. Oh, looks like we have hot stage jettison. You can see it floating away there to the left of the booster. Yeah, we did see one of those middle engines shut down during the ascent. Again, we are resilient to engine out on Super Heavy. That's why we're able to get through our ascent. Starship flying on the expected path. There's still a chance that engine could be back in the mix for the very start of the landing burn. So we'll see if we light up all 13. But we've even done a landing burn at the tower with an engine out. So very resilient. We'll see how it does on its way down to the Gulf, though. All right, so we got a couple of minutes. That landing burn start should be just about 40 seconds away. That's always rad. You can see the boost plume itself in the background as it was coming in. All right, about 20 seconds to landing burn.
Ship Raptor chamber pressure is nominal.
All right, here we go.
Landing burn startup.
Looks like we got 12 of those 13.
There you go, wins out in the middle. That's purposeful.
Down to 3, including one of the middle ring.
That's her hovering.
Down to 2. Nice little hover. And landing burn shutdown.
Successful.
Wow.
And into the Gulf. Here we come. And the booster has splashed down.
Incredible flight for Booster today.
Meanwhile, back in space, about 7 minutes into
That
today's
was very
flight, continuing its ascent burn. This goes until just about 9 minutes into our flight. That ship engine cutoff is slated for 8 minutes and 57 seconds. We are going to see those 3 RVAC, the Raptor vacuum engines. Those are the bigger circles in that little indicator on the bottom right of your screen. Those will shut down first, and we continue burning for a couple seconds longer on those inner 3 before we hit SECO, second engine cutoff.
Yeah, these views are looking great. Once again, thanks to Starlink for getting us these views. It's just incredible. And we just heard the sound from Booster.
It's like we just got a late boom from the booster.
Chris, apart from one engine
Yeah,
out,
we have
going up,
ship engine cutoff coming up here just shortly. And as we mentioned, today's flight test is not an orbital flight, but rather one that demonstrates Starship's orbital capability.
Starship is on terminal guidance.
Yeah, that's not a concern, bro. Not a concern.
All right, entering the final phase of this burn. Under 30 seconds to go. All right, shut down the vacuum engines.
Ship engine cutoff.
We shut down those center 3. Successful ship engine cutoff.
SECO, baby. There we go. That's what we want.
Nominal orbit.
This is crazy. This is
All right,
crazy.
we just heard the call out for nominal orbital insertion.
All right, so ship is in space. There we go. We're seeing the flaps starting to move into a stowed position. That's why it looks like your camera's moving.
Yeah, exciting to see Starship safely in space and super pumped to see all the team's hard work in action here today. And of course, as guaranteed, it's been an exciting day so far. We successfully lifted off right on time at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Thankfully, our weather was looking good today. Yeah, and Booster, we had our soft splashdown in the Gulf, so ship continues on.
Yeah, ship able to complete its ascent burn all the way in. You can see some of the shadows start to creep as it's going to be eventually flying into an orbital nighttime. So we'll see some daylight start to go away. But ship is in orbit, completed its burn. And I mean, that's just the beginning. Now we've got a whole bunch more to go. So we've got some exciting demonstrations planned while we're on orbit. So that right there, we just saved the FTS, the flight termination system. That's that automatic flight safety system we have on the vehicle. So that is now turned off while ship starts its coast period. We are coming up. Our next milestone is going to be the deployment of those Starlink simulators. We've got some payload inside of Starship that we're hoping to deploy into space for the very first time. That deploy is supposed to start at about 18 minutes and 27 seconds into the flight, so just about 7 minutes from now. That deploy will take place over a couple of minutes. It'll go about 1 satellite a minute, so we'll be spread out over that. It might get a little dark, but we've got a couple of views that we can show you to see that deploy in action. After that, we're also looking to do a relight of a single Raptor engine while we are in space. We've done this once before. This is not necessary to deorbit as we are in a suborbital trajectory, but this is essentially a chance to test out what we need to be able to do a deorbit burn. So we'll be doing that a little bit later in the flight, about 37 minutes or so into the flight. And then we get into reentry. We're looking to get that light show and, more importantly, get that really critical data about the ship's heat shield.
Yeah, exactly. At about T plus 45 minutes, we'll be heading for reentry. Again, running those experiments with the tiles. We're going to be doing missing tiles, metallic tiles, and also intentionally loading those vehicles' flaps. Hopefully, we'll also see a splashdown in the Indian Ocean today.
Yeah, we were able to get to a reentry last time, but we didn't have full attitude control, so we weren't able to go in, heat shield first the way we're designed to. So we ended up losing contact with the ship before we could make it all the way through. So you still get data, but you're not really getting the data that we want to make sure we're kind of stress testing the vehicle. As Amanda just said, we removed a bunch of tiles, and we do this in some intentionally scary places on the vehicle because we're really looking, are there spots that were vulnerable to this? Before we ever start moving towards, putting ship into a full orbital mission to then do reentries a little bit later on. So really, really critical to get that data, really looking forward to a controlled reentry.
Yeah, for sure. As we always say, our main payload is data, but today we also have some actual payload on board, and those simulators that Starship will be deploying, we'll see coming up here in just a few minutes. These are dummy satellites that are about the same size as our V3 Starlinks. We have 8 in the Starship PEZ dispenser and expect to deploy at a rate of about 1 per minute, as Dan mentioned earlier. Starlink is critical in all of our flights on Starship to get our main payload data, as we always say. And in fact, it's Starlink that's currently providing these views you see as Starship cruises a couple hundred kilometers above our home planet and provides real-time telemetry through every phase of flight.
Yeah, we took a peek inside of the Starship payload bay there for a second. So there's 8 of them there. They kind of look just big steel plates, essentially. They're roughly the same size as those V3 satellites. When we do get that view inside of the payload bay, the payload door will kind of be on your right, and we'll start to see them go out like a PEZ dispenser. Yeah, here's a look inside. So those right down there in the center, they're kind of 2 stacks of 4 on either side. And then the payload door is just to their right. And so we'll look to see that open, and then those satellites start to go. We vent the nose cone. So we essentially bring it down to vacuum before we open the door. That was one of the things we ran into on the last flight, as when we had that fuel diffuser fail, the pressure in the nose cone became basically too high for the actuator of the door to open. So that's why we weren't able to get the door open that time. We have not seen anything like that on this flight. Everything's looking good with our fuel tank and our fuel press system. So we are hopefully just a couple of minutes away from seeing that payload door open and getting to our first ever payload. It's not the first payload we've ever carried, but it's the first one we're going to try and shoot off into space. All right, so I think we're supposed to open the payload door in just about a minute and change. And you're seeing a little bit of residual gas. And we opened the door once. I want to say it was back on flight 3 when we were able to make it up into space. And you'll kind of see a lot of that gas rushing out into the vacuum of space. It's the residual that's left over after we've already vented it down. So kind of a cool light show. And then we'll get ready to deploy those payloads out. And as we mentioned, so we have crossed over now at this point into an orbital nighttime. So views from the outside will get pretty dark, but we'll see what we can see. We do this by design. We've been launching these later in the day here in Texas to try and get daytime views when we splash down. So it's daytime over in the Indian Ocean, where we are currently headed.
Just a few seconds until we expect those payload doors to open.
All right, one more time. Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I take it that's the door opening. Oh, you can see her rising up there.
So we are currently in payload deploy prep. And the door is open.
Will we get it, Chris?
All right, so the payload door is open.
I'm all nerded out right now, man. I'm so nerded out. It's
to
awesome.
deploy at about T plus 18 minutes and 27 seconds. So should be only about 30 seconds. So one step closer. Hal listened this time. He cooperated. He opened the payload door for us. There's a view kind of behind the Pez. You're looking out into the vacuum of space.
About 15 seconds until payload deploy.
Ship has transitioned to payload deploy.
She ain't moving. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
All right, there we go. There we go.
We've done it.
Pew pew. Been waiting way too long to do that. There we go.
There goes another one. Super exciting moment, as you can hear the energy in both Hawthorne and Starbase. Everyone's super excited for finally getting to deploy some of those simulated satellites.
Pez system moving down. Next row. There we go. As we said, we're going to do about one every minute or so. And this is just kind of a dress rehearsal for when we're going to be deploying the V3 satellites. And these are just a massive, massive increase to Starlink's capability. Each one of them has it's 60 terabits per second of capacity that's going to get added to the network per launch. That's 20 times more than what we're adding with every single Falcon 9 launch today, which, you know, step increase in capability. There goes another one. All right, so as we said, we've got 8 total that we're going to go through today. It's about a minute for each one, but looking good on payload deploy.
So far,
Right,
so good,
we're
right?
about halfway through when we
All
actually
good so
start
far.
launching the V3 Starlinks on Starship. We're going to be flying about 60 each time, so it'll be about an hour to get through a full stack. But again, it's just going to be a massive increase in the amount of bandwidth. It's going to enable gigabit upload download for people with Starlink anywhere on the planet, and for us. Starlink is just a tremendous part of just the Starship flight test program.
Yeah, absolutely. Always getting us that data. And yeah, the amazing views we have on the vehicle today.
Yeah, views brought to you by Starlink of us deploying Starlink simulators before we deploy actual Starlinks. How deep does it go? All right, another one firing out. Pez looking smooth today. All right, looks like we've got one left.
Almost there.
Yeah, there you go. One remaining. So 7 of the 8 have been deployed. One more to go. And then we will have completed our first ever payload deploy operation. Just a reminder, we're on a suborbital trajectory. These satellites on that exact same suborbital trajectory, they're going to burn up entirely and are on that same trajectory towards the Indian Ocean. So the last one has been deployed. Starlink simulator payload complete. Heck yeah, everybody.
Loving the energy from Starbase and Hawthorne.
I would love to be there. I bet it's fun to be there.
Yeah, now it's empty.
Oh,
Looking a little lonely.
Imagine the party after
but
that.
Successfully deployed
Oh,
all
man.
the simulator satellites.
Really, really cool to see them all out there. Again, people that have followed know Starlink's really critical for the Starship program, in addition to getting all those views back from the cameras on Starship, which this is an external view. As I said, it's dark outside right now. The lights are off, so it's going to be hard to make stuff out. But in a little while, the sun's going to start coming up as we get to re-entry, which is going to be really critical. We use Starlink for Starship data. Cameras also use it on the cameras that we use to bring you views of these launches, and also hopefully of the re-entry and splashdown. We'll see what we get from the Indian Ocean today. And that's just kind of how it all comes together. Like, we're using Starlink on the planet, off the planet. And with Starship, we actually get pretty insane. If you're in the space industry, bandwidth to space is usually pretty minimal. We get about 120 megabits per second. That's split between our high definition video and real-time telemetry. We get that every phase of flight, including re-entry. So it's not just giving us views of re-entry, but we're getting all of that engineering data in real time through phases that it used to be impossible to get that in real time. So just really incredible.
Yeah, Starlink definitely affords us all this capability. And reminder, it's the world's largest satellite constellation operating in low Earth orbit to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet. This provides internet access to people all around the world, many of whom had never had connectivity before. Today, Starlink serves more than 150 countries, territories, and other markets with over 6 million active customers and counting. To meet the growing global demand for high-speed internet, SpaceX expanded its factory in Bastrop, Texas, and also introduced Starlink Mini, as well as an upgraded version of the Starlink Standard kit.
All right, now with payload deploy complete, pew, 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 Starship is now going to close its payload bay door and continue to coast towards Earth, around Earth, towards the Indian Ocean. Sorry, I'm really excited today. We are in space, people. Still a lot of major events to come, though. We are looking to relight one of those Raptor engines at about 37 minutes, 33 seconds into the flight, followed by atmospheric entry, hell of a light show, and splashdown. So we're going to go on a quick break, take a quick coast, sit back, enjoy the views. A little bit dark now, but they'll get better soon. A couple of space jams. We'll be back in just a few minutes for that Raptor relight and then re-entry. See you soon.
I'm going to quickly turn the sound off there. Chris, Francisco,
Yes,
we still there? I think he's.
I think he's cooking dinner or walking his dog, but he'll be back. It's Francisco. That's what he does.
How are you feeling about this whole thing? Think we're gonna survive splashdown? Yeah, I'm gonna put the rear flaps under extreme pressure coming down. Will that affect the ability to keep on that steep trajectory? I don't know, but how are you feeling about this whole launch?
If I'm a SpaceX, if I'm Elon, I'm very happy. So far, it's been a great mission, massive success. Yeah, there's a few more obstacles, a few more things going to try out, but you know, I thought they were kind of overdoing it on this mission in the first place. I'm super stoked. It was awesome. Very, very cool. It's a big freaking rocket, man. That was amazing. That liftoff, that view, that photo, or the video, that was so fun.
I love seeing that Block 2 Starship is now starting to be as successful as Block 1. It felt like they went back a step when they went to the Block 2 with all the failures. It's glad to see it finally getting the credit they deserve. Yeah, they did have an engine out on the ascent. I'm not too worried about that. It shows how resilient Starship is, the level of redundancy in the 33 Raptor engines. I think they can take up to 3 or 4 out and they'll still be able to maintain a nominal trajectory. They proved on the way down that they can out one of the center engines, let one of the outer engines guide them down, and then they can still hover out of the 2 center engines. This whole flight has been more or less successful so far. The deployment of the Starlinks, this first time we've seen that. I love the comment by Vasi and C. Imagine being one of the guys that built some of them pipes, even watching it be deployed out into space. I just think working for the likes of SpaceX, you must be in a constant state of awe. You must be in constant adrenaline rushes. Yes, I reckon it's work hard, play hard. But on days like today, can you imagine the party they have when they get a successful test flight? Well, as of yet, a successful test flight. It must be insane. But does this get you more hyped for Neutron?
Yes, 100%. I was thinking about that this whole launch, and you guys know I love Elon and SpaceX, but we do have Neutron coming up soon, and we just saw new pictures of the launch pad complete. That thing looks sexy. It really does. It's hard not to get excited about the space overall. So yeah, a lot happening in the next few weeks, months to come. Yeah, very excited. Very, very excited.
Guys, do let me know. Do you think we will survive all the way to splashdown? Look, we are going on an off normal trajectory on the way down. They're going to put increased aerodynamic pressure on the rear flaps. They are missing a few tiles. That is intentional. They're testing new cooling tiles. Do we think we're going to get a successful splashdown? Randall, big shout out, my guy. Hey, guys. Looks great. Lucky to be here with you all. Big shout out, my guy. You've been here for all 3 attempts. 3rd time lucky. We brought a good luck charm with us today, Francisco. We did actually start today off at 45% favorable weather, but it did increase throughout the stream. It went all the way to 55%, and yeah, we got go for launch.
I missed a lot of the stream in the beginning. I don't even know what you guys covered, if anything. For all my Rocket Lab people out there, I do apologize. I did have stuff I wanted to bring to you guys tonight, but I was working late, and I was late getting on the stream, so I do apologize. We'll try again tomorrow, promise.
Then Vaccine C says poker is a lot more fun when you have your own money on the table. Yeah, it is a lot more fun. It's a lot more of an adrenaline rush, put it that way. Look, we can sit back and enjoy Starship going up. Whatever happens, excitement's guaranteed. When we have skin in the game, I'm going to be a lot more nervous at the likes of stage separation, the likes of payload deployment, the likes of re-entry, where with this, it's more or less sit back, relax, and enjoy the views. Does anyone else feel like that, or are you nervous when you see any rocket at stage separation? I think stage separation is the biggest one for me. I think it's because I've just been scared by that anomaly with Electron. And then again, the first flight of Starship when they failed to separate. That's why they now use hot staging to separate. They ignite their engines and more or less blow themselves apart. Then Bagger Holden says, when are they planning on going into orbit with Starship? If I knew that, my guy, I'd be dead honest with you, but I am not sure. Guys, can you help me out? When are they planning for an actual orbital flight of Starship? I'm on a whiz from now on with free timers. Do you know what I love is when you see the plasma build up on re-entry and it goes all this like blue and orange color on the way down. Guys, if you haven't seen the Starship re-entry before, it's like a firework display. Now, sometimes it is the likes of metal burning through, the likes of your heat tiles getting fairly cooked up on the way down. You can see the likes of flaps burning off. You can see joints being torn through, cameras cracking. You can see everything. But then, at the same time, we don't know how far they've come. We could see a really enjoyable trip on the way down. Starlink seems to be getting better too. We seem to be able to keep camera connection for most of the descent. I think the more or less successful one, we managed to maintain it for the whole descent. So we'll see what happens. Francisco, my guy, are you all fed in water?
I had to go take care of some stuff. I see I missed the whole thing. I mean, it didn't blow up. I just came here for that. I told you it was the lucky charm. I just wanted to be
the lucky charm, bro.
The presence to be here, so you guys don't have to do this one more time.
Bro, 3 nights in a row. Finally, the 3rd night, Francisco comes on, and as soon as everything starts, he just walks away and goes, you got it. No big deal.
Yeah, I got an
awesome, bro.
Awesome. I'm taking care
Francisco
of
came in at the perfect time. I was telling the guys prior to the stream that it was hard coming on today because it felt like it was just going to be a repeat stream of yesterday and the day before, especially with a less than favorable weather conditions prior to launch. And I was like, I'm just going to have to read the flight profile again. And then all of a sudden I seen Francisco appear in the bottom and I was like, yes, someone to speak to.
Really
so thank you so much, my guy. Iman OS says, I'm much more excited with Rocket Lab because I own 0.000019417475728% of rockets.
Hey man, screw you. You did that on purpose. You know I hate the numbers. You did that on purpose. That's funny. I love that. I love that.
Guys, do let us know, how are you feeling about this whole Starship?
Yeah, but
launch?
he said of the rockets. He didn't say of the stock. So you get what he's saying? There's a
Yeah, I
lot of
do. I
rockets.
do. I was just making a joke. He's always on here, man. He's great. But yeah, I was just
Don't let
making a
him fool
joke.
you. He owns a lot of shares, bro.
Oh yeah. I follow him. I know. Yeah, he would just bust my
All
balls. I
right,
think.
looks like
Oh,
he
here we go. We're
confirmed
back.
the relight of one of those Center Raptor engines. Second time we've done that. Super exciting.
Nominal
Huge
orbit
congrats
insertion.
to the team on this milestone.
Phenomenal.
Very exciting to see.
That was a cool light show. Yeah. I get to do a mini version here. So again, that's going to be really critical for when we're doing deorbit burns. Like as you're going through, which if you don't have one of these, my God, they're so much fun. But like you're able to actually like light. Oh, yeah. Dan, turn it on. Light that engine. Not set my co-host on fire. And that's what we'll eventually do to, break out of orbit, come back down to Earth. So really cool to see one of those engines light back up again in space. It was our last in-space thing.
Very exciting. We're going to be heading back for reentry at about T plus 45 minutes. So we're going to take another quick break and we will see you soon.
This thing is going well, huh?
Sorry to cut you off there, Chris, as you're speaking. Just had a feeling they were speaking there. I think we've lost Chris, have we?
Things are looking good, huh? It's looking so good. Rocket Lab is up to 49.50 after hours.
Olga actually said it. She said if we pass 47, we are like going to the moon. So
Olga
far
did
she's
say
been
that.
right. Yeah.
Olga did say that. Yep, she sure did.
Is there anything on your radar at the moment? Is there any other stocks you're sort of looking at in the space industry?
Kratos.
I do love Kratos. Kratos is good. Remember I told you Kratos, people don't know, but Kratos, they have like a lot of stuff in space. They do a lot more than what people think. They put a lot of their equipment and software stuff on people's satellites. It's more than just the drone part. And their drones is not the small drones. Their drones are like the UAVs, they're big ones, the fighter jets kind of drones. And they're starting to get contracts, so that's good. They got space, they got autonomous. They do have the smaller drones too, and some people I don't think they're aware of it.
Drone warfare just seems to, I don't really want to get into war and that, but drone warfare just seems to be what the world is all about now.
That's CNC. That's CNC about Firefly. What do you guys think? Firefly just posted that they got cleared by FAA for their Alpha rocket finally.
Did they?
Saw that? Yeah, they just.
We talked about Firefly after. That's one of those after show talks we have. We talk about Firefly on the DL. Usually not live. I do like Firefly, but I go back and forth. I do.
I mean, I don't hate them. I just hate the way that they I don't think they are 100% honest. I don't know. The way that they don't mention Rocket Lab, I don't like. It's just.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, look what their lunar lander that landed on the moon a few months ago. A lot of it was Rocket Lab components. We heard nothing about that from them. I agree.
We're starting to see a bit of that old burn up there coming in. Redwire, how are you feeling about that at the moment, Francesco?
About Redwire? I mean, I think long term they'll come back up. I mean, believe it or not, all the space companies doing good. I think that's what happens. It is crazy because even Starship doing good, it almost lifts the whole space industry in a way. When they fail, it happened the first time when they failed, you would think they was Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab crashed when they blew up the first time. I'm like, what happened? Rocket Lab doesn't make the Starship. Why are we crashing? But it seems like in space is very tricky. One failure from a different, even Firefly, I think failure affected like Rocket Lab. It's freaking weird. But it happens.
Basically is like a rising tide lifts all boats, but like it happens in both ways. It honestly does feel like that. The whole industry pulls up each other, but the whole industry also like pulls each other down.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
blessing and a curse.
Yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, you want to go way back to last year when all our favorite stocks like ASTS, Rocket Lab, they were all like single digits, like $2, $3, $4. ASTS was the first one to pick up, and after ASTS did that, all the other ones started climbing right behind it. So, and then all the great news from SpaceX, from Rocket Lab, it lifts everybody else up. So a success launch with Starship is actually not a bad thing. I don't think so. I mean, it's looking good in the after hours. I tell you that much. And that's one thing. I think that the Redwire is gonna benefit from this. Redwire is gonna benefit from Rocket Lab being successful. Bass CNC says Kato had a good Redwire update video, and he's right. But Redwire, actually, they have some good news. I mean, it's going to take a little bit for them to come back up. But like I said, the medical, the pharmaceutical stuff, I think they can definitely grow there. They have the very low orbit. They're really like one of the guys doing it. And they have a lot of different things that I think they're going to make some money. It's just that the leadership is what is shaky. I think. I don't think they but that flap looks interesting, huh? Let's see if it
That
makes it
already
through.
looks like it's burning through, or something's fired through
Something
it.
looks in the back, right? It looks like something's loose, right? Something looked like pretty loose back there, yeah.
And there was definitely something hanging off it too, but it looked like there was
Yeah,
more
that's
like
what
a
it looked
hole
like,
in the
yeah.
flap.
Yeah, I mean the engine bay here looks a lot cleaner. I'll tell you that much. I see that. I noticed that. I
The
like it.
new Raptor engines are so clean though.
Oh, bro, the new Raptor engines are clean. But I mean, it happens with time. People like to compare like SpaceX, like Rocket Lab to SpaceX, and it's not fair because SpaceX has been out for way so long. They got a lot more money. I mean, they benefited from like being the first mover, but like Rocket Lab is doing really good, and I think Neutron is gonna push us to the next level, and I think the government is gonna come in and
FC Ograton says, "Let's go, chat." Big shout out, Mike guy. How are we getting on today? How are you feeling about the Starship launch? Nah, this is one of my favorite parts. My favorite part of the Starship launch, probably the actual ignition itself at the very start. Then the chopsticks have to be in there, but then as well, this plasma buildup is wild, and this is where you start seeing some burn through.
Has begun. We are starting to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. We're moving about 5 times the speed of sound, and we're about to start barreling through the Earth's atmosphere and head for a splashdown in the Indian Ocean. We don't plan to recover the spacecraft today, but if we do make it all the way down to the water, who knows? But the goal of this part of the flight is to learn as much as we can about the ship's heat shield. A fully reusable, rapidly reusable heat shield for a spacecraft has never been done before. It's one of the hardest engineering challenges for us. And so this is the time to really dig in and get that data.
Yeah, absolutely. And reentry is a critical phase of flight, so we'll need information on how the ship's system end up performing. And Starlink will also help us gather as much data as possible, which is really the main reason why we do these flight tests. Starlink provides us with one more path to collect data to help us rapidly iterate on Starship's design. And if the ship manages to make it all the way to reentry, we'll collect valuable data on the spacecraft flying through the Earth's atmosphere at hypersonic speeds or more than 5 times the speed of sound.
Yeah, throughout history, a lot of times this is when you go into just a complete data and insight blackout, where that plasma sheath builds up around the outside of the spacecraft that blocks all of your signals that are trying to fight through to talk to either satellites out in space or towers down on the ground. Starship's big size kind of gives us awake, but what really helps us punch through is the fact that we're using Starlink. We're operating at just a much higher frequency.
That does not look
That's
good.
not what we want to see. So we just saw some of the aft skirt just
What
take
happened?
a hit.
Oh, all right, yeah.
It
So
just
we've
blew
got
the
some
bit.
visible damage on the aft skirt. We're continue to re-enter though. And again, we are intentionally stressing the ship as we go through this. So it is not guaranteed to be a smooth ride down to the Indian Ocean. We've removed a bunch of tiles in kind of critical places across the vehicle. So seeing stuff like that is still valuable to us. We are trying to kind of push this vehicle to the limits to learn what its limits are as we design our next version of Starship. So 47 minutes, 45 seconds into the flight, excitement ticking up a little bit on reentry already, but the light show is continuing. This reentry is going to take about 20 minutes or so until our planned
This is
splashdown.
looking
We were
beaten up
trying
at
to splash
84
down
kilometers.
about 1 hour and 6 minutes into the flight.
Those flaps seems to be a problem. I
Yeah,
think
and one day Starship is designed to land on Mars where there are obviously no
Those were
runways or
those
other
were
human
new flaps.
habitat.
They were
So
redesigned
doing
too for
propulsive
this.
landing instead of more traditional means such as parachutes, and propulsive landing enables us to have more rapid reusability with these vehicles.
Yeah, the ship itself, it's a little over 50 meters tall. We've got those 6 engines on board, the 3 vacuum, the 3 sea level, and they're down in that aft skirt
85
region,
kilometers,
which,
flaps have control.
all right, so at this point, the flaps have control. That means we're getting into a dense enough part of the atmosphere that the flaps can start controlling us. We're not only reliant on those kind of reaction control system thrusters.
We're going to continue hearing some callouts as the ship makes its way back to Earth. So when we hear entry max heating and entry max Q, that will mean the ship
Sure, you
has
wouldn't
made it
fly
through
on one
the
of these,
maximum
Chris.
heating and aerodynamic loads it will experience as it returns.
Yeah,
So
sure.
through those,
You pay, I'll
they were
fly.
doing pretty well.
Never.
I will say I'm happy reentry cleaned off this camera for us. It was a little dirty from the weather, so thank you, Plasma, for giving us this view as we start coming down. The hit we saw to the skirt, definitely interesting. I will note, when we started doing these missing tile tests, we were intentionally removing them only in the skirt, as that's, you know, that's not over your fuel tanks or anything else that's kind of structurally critical for keeping the entire vehicle together. That obviously exposes your engines. So that could do some things for our landing burn. But for now, we are obviously continuing with this reentry. We are committed. Indian Ocean, here we come. 50 minutes since launch. Those colors start to build up a little bit. We are at the point where we're in dense enough atmosphere that the flaps have control.
You don't want the back of the ship heating up because there's no
About
heat shield on it.
74 kilometers in altitude.
Oh, that's what happened last time. Started tumbling. I'm like, oh, that's not good.
We're starting to see some sunlight, so we intentionally time these launches right now so we have daylight. The sun should actually come up over the horizon on Starship in about 3 minutes. So as we get a little bit further into this reentry, that inky black below you is going to start to look like clouds and hopefully a bright blue ocean as we make our way down onto the other side of the planet.
It's like the Beatles. Here comes the sun.
She's coming apart now.
We've got
that flap.
These cameras are really cool. We added these several flights ago, looking directly at the flaps.
Yeah, that flap is coming apart again.
But these flaps, how they're able to control the vehicle, withstand.
You're gonna have to figure that out.
That reentry, the seal locations, so kind of where they connect to the ship itself, are some of the most critical. We will do missing tiles on those, where again we're trying to. We're kind of being mean to this Starship a little bit. We're really trying to put it through the paces and kind of poke on what some of its weak points are. I mean, we even have missing tiles over some of those fuel tank sections of the ship itself, and so we're really trying to see what are our limits. We're doing this over a completely empty area over the Earth.
Yeah, that's a lot of data, man. They're getting a lot of data out of it.
Assuming we make it all the way down to
Yeah,
the
but
Earth,
like,
in case we will attempt a flip and a landing burn. We
I don't get
do
it. Supposedly they have the best
at least
engineers and all this
one
data, but the flaps
buoy.
keep freaking getting damaged.
Everybody's favorite camera person out in the
Yeah,
Indian Ocean
true.
right now, being powered
It's
by
been
They've
years
done
now.
really well so far,
So
man.
that's at our planned.
Oh yeah, compared to the last
So
few times
if we're
the
able to get
ship
any
was
live
blowing up.
views of the ship, that'll essentially tell you that we nailed our target.
They were still 69 kilometers up, and that ship is
Able to
being
do that
beaten
on
up.
our 6th flight test. Do it in the daytime, which was really exciting.
I mean, it blows my mind. They have the best engineers supposedly. Like, yeah, that engine, something's weird is happening there. But then they still haven't figured out the flaps. And I don't care how many tiles you take off, and like it's this promise in the
So
same
we're
area
about
over and
10
over again.
minutes until we're probably going to start hearing some of the other big milestones coming up.
Yep, in about 10
Engines
minutes,
up.
like Dan said, Starship will be transonic. This is going to be the period of flight where the velocities of airflow surrounding and flowing past the vehicle are concurrently below, at, and above the speed of sound, so somewhere in the range of Mach 0.8 to 1.2.
All of that blue
For
is
reference,
just
commercial jets have a range of cruising speeds, but most of them fly at speeds between Mach 0.74 and Mach 0.85. So that's 480 to 575 miles per hour or 770 to 930 kilometers per hour.
And after transonic comes subsonic. That just means you're slower than the speed of sound. We're still well in excess of that right now. But by the time we hit subsonic, we're essentially belly flopping down. There we go. There's that sunlight. So we're seeing the Earth now come back into view. One of the other things we're doing during this, and you're going to see Starship kind of pitch in some pretty, not extreme ways, but a little extreme, as we're trying to really stress the structure of it, of the ship itself, specifically those aft flaps. So the ones in the very bottom of the vehicle. We're pushing not just how well does the heat shield hold up, but how well does the ship structure hold up. We are pushing it beyond essentially what we think we'll have to fly at to do something like a return to launch site. So again, may not be a very smooth ride downhill, but we're doing that by design. We're really trying to find what are the edges that we can operate at, build up a good data set. But sun is up, clouds and water down below us. We are just about 10 minutes away, a little less than 10 minutes now.
Would you fly on one of these from
hitting
Cisco?
transonic and then
Oh,
subsonic.
hell
Once we
no.
hit
You
subsonic,
can
we're
go if you
basically-
want. I'll go wave at you and say bye to you. Make sure you sign your stocks to me on your will.
No, the reverse. Sign them to
Yeah,
me
no.
before you go up. Yeah, I'll hold
It'd
them
be
very
even heavier in
tight.
red wire then, my guy.
You can have the red wire. I'll take the rocket lab. How's that sound, Liam?
Take whatever.
Yeah.
All good. You're gonna have to split the Archer and Joby between you.
That's fair. That's fair.
Nah, I will not fly on that thing. You crazy? I don't know, but don't you agree? They have the best engineers and everything, and data from how many flights, and still
All
like
right,
they got the
55 and a half
problem.
minutes. Then you can see the sun is up again. We
That's
intentionally
very
designed these
interesting.
flights to lift off in the evening here, so we get these daylight views, so we can get as good a video as possible on the ship, assuming we make it all the way down. We've got at least one buoy powered by Starlink that's out there in the landing zone in the Indian Ocean, hopefully giving us a view again. If you see any live views, not from the ship itself, that means we nailed our landing target.
Starship is past peak heating.
All right, we just heard the call out that we're past peak heating, so things are looking good so far.
Jeez,
They're
we might
looking
get
good.
down.
And at this point, again, the
That
flaps
flap
are
is
controlling. So
going
this
for-
movement you're seeing is that forward flap moving to try and just maintain control, maintain attitude of the vehicle as we're coming down.
Is that just one?
Yeah, I think the other one's blown to bits as well on the bottom right hand corner.
Oh, looks like he's getting some heat. Right.
A little bit, yeah, just a little
This
bit.
is a rear flap. That's actually not looking too bad.
Yeah, that one doesn't look bad. Whatever they put there.
And they're intentionally
And
pushing
on
it
one of
towards
our
the rear flap.
flaps, we got one of these cameras on all four of the flaps, 2 in the front, 2 in the
Oh,
back,
that's
giving
been
us
destroyed.
Yeah, that
really
one's
good
cut.
close-up views.
It's the front
As
flap always.
we obviously don't have a camera that can see the entire heat shield. These give us kind of the best that we can do. But looking at those flaps is really, those are just, super critical for controlling the ship. You have some ability to maneuver kind of cross range. So as you're coming in, you can see in that indicator at the very bottom right.
Yeah, that flap is
quite a
burning
bit.
through on the bottom. Look
And
at that.
That's a rear flap.
we are maximally stressing those aft flaps right now. Looks like we got a little bit of burn through.
Whatever.
Very
Cooking.
bottom part
Just
of it.
cooking.
I guess SpaceX got the money to be blowing up all these rockets,
Guys, if you're enjoying this, please smash the like button.
You guys saw that the other news that
5 minutes away until we hear that.
EchoStar is selling their spectrum to AT&T for like $23 billion.
23 billion. I saw that.
You guys didn't see that? Dude, that thing doubled from 22 to like $50. EchoStar went up like crazy overnight, like from yesterday to today. Nuts. But then there's another news that just came out. This one might be good for Rocket Lab actually. As inspected, they got a contract awarded to them by the Japanese Minister of Defense.
Oh, look, that's destroyed.
That's gonna be pretty good because I think
little bit
the
toasty
Rocket
on
Lab
the aft
is in
skirt
with Japan.
of the vehicle as we continue coming in.
Is that
Again,
flap
we
gonna
are
hold out?
intentionally stressing the flaps so we can learn all we can.
No, so far we're falling apart a little bit, but we're still good.
All right, so now we're already well past peak heating.
Yeah, you see this stuff flying on.
Just about 48, 49, counting down to 48 kilometers in altitude. Expecting that transonic to come. So transitioning between the speed of sound and subsonic slower than the speed of sound in just a little under 4 minutes from now. And right now, we've got kind of a lot of forward momentum.
Imagine seeing that out the window and you're inside.
And then eventually, by the time we hit subsonic,
everybody give me
right, here we go. So this is what we've been talking about.
Parachute.
We are going to essentially try to fully deploy those aft flaps and really stress them out. So again, this is meant to test the extremes for the vehicle.
This is it. No.
That camera is cool though. It looks crazy.
It's gonna flip over.
Yeah, I guess.
The Earth is flat, man.
Yeah, look at that.
All
It's
right.
so flat.
Look at that flap.
Those flaps swinging out. Again, we are
Moving.
putting the ship through the ringer on this flight in.
I'll tell you why. Usually, in the joints, they usually got burned before, and they're not getting burned through that. So whatever they did, that is looking good, especially the forward part of the flap. That looks pretty.
Still
decent.
maintaining
Looks like they did
control.
something good there. It's only the back part. I guess they made some progress there. But you can see the metal part, from the tiles to the metal part, it got burned right there. They might have to put more tiles up in that area.
They're fairly slowing down. Look at the speed, just dropping.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh yeah, they're
flaps
probably
earning their
getting.
paycheck today, getting through kind of that max stressing.
That looks good.
Definitely things looking good so far. We're
Yeah.
about 2 minutes out now from Starship becoming transonic.
One cool thing to note as we get some of those views showing kind of the whole length of the ship, one of the changes we made after Flight 6 was to change the tile line a little bit. So we had kind of scaled back the number of tiles significantly, as when we go to catch these ships, you don't want to, I think as Elon said, you don't want to shuck the ship as you catch it and knock all those tiles off. So we knew we were going to have to kind of peel back that layer a little bit. And the first time we did it was on Flight 6, and we saw kind of wrinkling and dimples almost in the ship as we were creating these hot spots in the uneven parts of the heat shield. And so to kind of address that, we smoothed it out. That's why you've got kind of that nice smoothed out black line now on the ship. And just looking at it, we can see kind of a little bit of hot spot, a little bit of warping almost. Near the payload door, you can see a little bit of colored patina up above it, but we don't see those kind of deep, almost, they almost look like gouges on that. So it looks like that's been pretty successful. So, all right, we are less than a minute away from hitting transonic. Again, pretty soon our forward velocity is going to look like it's kind of falling off a cliff, and Starship will look like it's falling off a cliff as we essentially go into our belly flop. If you watch some of the high altitude tests or suborbital campaign,
is fun.
we were able to test that. It was a pretty fundamental, like, can this thing actually fly? And we were able to prove that out with that suborbital campaign. And that's what we're about to see shortly here. All right, so at this point, we've dropped below the speed of sound, so Starship itself is subsonic.
That right-hand flap looks pretty beautiful.
We are starting
Looks very good, yeah.
engines
That looks perfect,
for
yeah.
landing burn attempt.
So whatever they did to this one was
landing flip supposed to start in a little over 2 minutes. Subsonic Indian Ocean, we're on our way.
Starship is subsonic.
I mean, the flaps, even the ones in the back look pretty bad, but that one that they were showing looks really, really good.
Well, space.
That's fair.
That one's
beaten up.
Yeah, that one's pretty beat up, yeah. But I mean, if they're testing, they removed the tiles like they said, then maybe that's it.
All right, so
There's
coming up,
something's flapping right in front of the flap. You see that? It looks like it has a little bit like fire there. What's going on there?
Those 3 center Raptor engines, the sea levels, the ones that can
whatever that was is flying
around
around.
and steer. Dipping the nose down a little bit.
Yeah, the flap is almost falling up. Looks like they dropped some tiles there too.
2 of our engines chilled in, waiting on 1 more. So again, we'll attempt to use 3 burns for that initial flip. We eventually go down to just 2 Raptors for the end of the landing burn.
Just about 1 minute now from that landing flip and landing burn start.
1 minute.
So far, it's been relatively successful.
So, Chris, what's your weekend looking like? Are you still scuba diving to Wallops on Thursday?
Structurally, we're looking
It's the
good.
speed already.
Got good pressures in our nose cone for everything.
No.
About 30 seconds. Again, we're going to look for the flip. So Starship's doing its belly flop right now. We're going to do the flip. Swing out. Let's punch through some clouds first.
The flap is beaten up.
Here we go.
Starship landing burn startup.
Looks like they made it this time.
Seeing 3 engines.
3 engines. That's good.
There's our flip.
Oh, that looks good.
There's a buoy.
That looks really good. Oh, it blew up.
Hey.
Hey.
You should want to be very careful on that boat.
I mean, that was way better than the last three.
Oh man, yeah. Farewell, Ship 37. Thank you, buoy cam. Landing flip, landing burn, splash out of the Indian Ocean. There we go. Whew. All right. That was pretty awesome.
Incredible
This is
flight
cool, right?
today for both ship and booster.
Yeah, really incredible. So obviously we're excited here. It looks like everybody's excited over there. Tyler, how's it going over in Hawthorne?
We are super excited here in Hawthorne. It was another exciting Starship flight test in the books, and we hope you enjoyed those Starlink views. So congratulations to the team at Starbase and everyone here and around the company. So many employees have contributed enormously to the Starship program as we continue to iterate and make progress towards a multi-planetary future. So that's going to wrap it up for us here in Hawthorne. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. It was it was great being with you today. Back to you guys.
That was absolutely incredible. Huge congrats to all the teams here. Again, we lifted off from Starbase, Texas right at the top of our window at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We saw Booster successfully lift us up through ascent, had a successful hot staging where ship continued on with its suborbital trajectory. Booster came back down, had that boost back burn, and a successful landing burn with that unique engine configuration as well.
Yeah, and then ship continued on its way, made it all the way into space. We got to see first ever payload deploy.
So excited.
Yeah. We saw that.
Starlink simulators deployed, relit that Raptor engine, and then on entry, we gave it a little bit of extra time in the oven, but made it all the way through re-entry. All three engines started up, landing flip, splashed down in the Indian Ocean. Promised maximum excitement. Starship delivered.
Most
so
definitely.
Congratulations. All of our teammates here at SpaceX. It's been a year. Everybody that's worked on this program, this is what we're working for. So big congrats to all of them. Thank you to all of our future customers too for your support.
And we'd also like to thank the fine people of Cameron County, including the residents of its newest city, Starbase, as well as the Coast Guard, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Government of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
Be sure to stay tuned to SpaceX on X for updates, more of the views. This is just a tiny amount of the views. We have so many views that we didn't get to feature on the broadcast. So we're going to be going through that over the next couple of days, and we'll be posting that all there.
Yeah, if you're interested in more launch coverage, head on over to spacex.com/launches for the most up-to-date information. In fact, we actually recently rolled out a new departure board featuring our upcoming launches with details like mission name, launch and landing site, and liftoff time. So be sure to check it out.
All right. We just launched the world's biggest rocket. Again, dropped a couple satellites off, suborbital.
Incredible deploy.
That was good.
That double header in the ocean splashdown. Time to go through the data. Really crazy cool to hit all those objectives today.
Yeah, huge shout out to all the teams who make this look easy. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. And we will see you back here for Flight 11. Good night.
Definitely progress.
They definitely made progress. Guys, if you enjoyed that, make sure you have banged the subscribe button. And again, every like shares us out to 10 more people. So make sure you've done that. Big shout out, Dylan. Here we go. Man, I know I should have been watching earlier. No, my guy, you know what? You have a lot of life responsibilities. I don't expect you to be here all the time, but thank you so much for the support, my guy. Olga.
This was really good.
Yeah. Olga says, oh, wow, that was cool, but of course not as exciting as Rocket Lab. Julius.
And I think last time they were able to make it into space, the Starship did, they try to, like, obviously the gate on the Starship didn't open to dispense like the satellites, but this time it worked. I mean, they actually, a lot of stuff did happen in this one. That was pretty good. And the flaps, the flap that they intentionally removed, that the tiles were the ones that were burning up. The other ones look pretty decent, like way better than previously. So they definitely made a lot of progress.
Yeah, that was a great launch. It was a lot of fun. They hit a lot of milestones. I'm sure they got a lot of data, but I do know what Olga's talking about. We do have to get into some Rocket Lab stuff. I did promise yesterday that I had some things for tonight, but I got off work late. So it's going to be Rocket Lab.
The
Well,
latest hot news coming in is that Inspective got a contract. I tried to tell you guys. Japan, a Minister of Defense, Japan gave them awarded a contract to them, and
yeah.
we have worked with them before. So maybe Rocket Lab will get something. Not only Inspective work with Rocket Lab, but like the Rocket Lab seems to be working with a lot of Japanese.
Well, 2 or 3 months ago, if even 2 or 3 months ago, if Beck was in, he was hanging out with the guys from Perspective just recently.
Julius says if someone were on board, they literally blew up at the end. Am I missing something? Yeah, but they wouldn't land in the sea like that, my guy. They'd be caught on chopsticks. Yeah, nah, that was expected. The explosion right at the end. Same thing would have happened with the booster when they landed the booster. That exploded too. Vaccine C says, Francisco, did you ever take a look at FEIM?
I did not.
And then Randall says, wow, they exceed on so many levels. I'm so excited to see where it goes with Flight 11, because if they can fix, do you think they will try and do another flight where they can get a successful splashdown with the heat shield before they would attempt to landing on the chopsticks? Because you can't be landing with beaten up flaps like that.
I don't know. It looks pretty good. I hear echo.
Do you?
I have an echo too.
Yeah.
Okay. Echo.
I think they can go for the next flight. I mean, it looked pretty good. The flaps that were beating up was the ones that they plan on doing that. They removed tiles. They were testing them to the limit. So I think some of the flights look pretty good. So I think they can use the data that they got for those, and I think they can go for it in the next one. I really think. And like Elon likes to push. So I mean, they hit, like Randall said, they exceeded on many levels, and I think he's right. I think that they're so good that why not go for it?
Yeah, definitely go for it. That was fun. That was awesome. We've been trying to watch this live stream as far as this launch for this third night now, and we had to bring on our lucky charm. Thank you, Francisco. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Everything went great. Well, maybe not everything, but for the most part, it was quite the successful launch. And I guess we just needed you to come on and help us cheer it and make sure we get as far as we did.
So the next one is Alpha. They got cleared to launch again. Chris, your favorite company. What do you think is going to happen? Where are they going to launch? Are they going to launch out of Wallops? Are they going to launch that mission? You know that Firefly has that contract to launch the other satellite for that mission that the Rocket Lab is part of. What's that mission? Help me out here, guys.
Say that again. Rocket Lab is
the Victus Haze.
Oh, Victus Haze.
Yeah, but Firefly is supposed to launch before Rocket Lab. You guys think that's gonna happen?
No, that's a good
question. I think the report was BS too. I think they were saying that it was like what was it, like fatigue of the metal, something heat up, and I'm like, that didn't look like it to me. To me, it looked like on staging, it looked like the bell like of that engine tipped something, like it hit like the booster. And I thought, at least that's what I thought. I guess I don't know. And one of the guys like this really into space, I forgot his name. He was big YouTube channel, and he was playing previous videos, and he was showing how that first stage when in the staging for like the second stage engine almost hit that first stage a few times. So I think they need to fix that. Whatever the staging part is, that is something weird.
Yeah, it's the the whole "don't put the cart before the horse" analogy. I think they're moving a little bit too fast, and they're skipping. Yeah, I do. I really do. Overall, yeah, it's hard. With anything in space, I want everyone to succeed. I've said that 1,000 times. I'll say it again. But you got to be honest. You got to be, real, and that's definitely that's an issue. Focus on what you do good, what you do great, and then build off of that. Don't try and skip steps. And I think they're doing that right now.
Boys, I can see a massive dive in viewer count because I believe everyone is so tired of hearing us for the last 3 hours. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the stream there. We will get back to Rocket Lab tomorrow, back to the Rocket Lab fan club.
I mean, you guys have to, because then you got tomorrow is the 27th. Bro, come on. Do you guys know what's happening tomorrow?
27th, that's the Investors Day, isn't it?
Investors Day, so you have to be on. And then the 28th. So you better not be missing that. Like,
I'll be in one-ups on the 28th.
Chris is like, I'm not gonna make it to mass launch get together because I'm gonna be in the water scuba diving.
You know, step 4. No, actually, Francisco, you don't know this yet, but I haven't had jobs in like 3 months. I had to take on a job working locally for a septic company, making $18 an hour. I'm bringing home less than $500 a week. My bills are $3,600 a month. I'm in the fucking hole, big time. It's killing me. Liam knows it. I've kind of told you and Yanni a little bit, but it's been getting bad. So I want to go out on Thursday, and trust me, I want to be out there with Maddie and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been rough. But hey, you know what? That's life. We invest for tomorrow. We get better tomorrow. Exactly. But we do this for fun, guys. Thanks everyone for joining in. It's not investment advice. We just love rockets. We love space. We love all you for joining in. But yeah, it's bedtime, it's food time. It's been a long day.
Guys, my name is Liam, one of the host bros here. But my good friend Chris and me, and then we bought the good luck charm, the relic, the man himself, Francisco Space 5. Make sure to follow Francisco on X. He does fire out some really nice content around the space industry. Not only Rocket Lab, but absolutely everything in the space industry. Right, guys, until tomorrow, we'll be covering the Rocket Lab Investors Day. Can't wait to see you guys. We'll see you then.